welcome to the EST Hangout.
This is the EST Hangout, and today's guests are...
This is the EST Hangout presented by White Claw Hard Seltzer. The voice you heard during the intro was Gerry Moddejonge, our guest for today.
Yes.
We've got Dean Millard with us as well. Tom Gazzola, Iwanyk with you here on the EST Hangout.
Live mics, man. Live mics.
Live mics. And I gave the warning that, hey, we're going to have live mics right away. And you just, when's the live mic going to stop us?
Never.
No.
We're at EdmontonSportsTalk.com, iHeartRadio, tune in, and on our YouTube channel. Your keyword for the EST FlyAway. Coming up just after 10 o'clock right here on the Hangout.
Hello.
Hello. How's everyone's Easter?
Good.
Pretty awesome, yeah.
Nice relaxing.
Watched hockey. That's
Watch hockey. Food's in the fridge.
Baseball, yeah.
Yeah. So baseball.
Baseball's been good right
Yeah.
off the bat.
Terrific opening weekend.
Congratulations to Norman at Combine for his Astros getting swept by my Yankees.
Oh,
Bring out the
baby.
brooms.
Yeah. How about the Astros? Like last year, they were so bad at home, and they start out losing 3 straight at home. Like, is this not, or 4 straight? Yeah, is this not
4-game
like
series, baby.
karma? A little bit of karma
Yeah.
coming back. They still had a good season last year, but shouldn't it be the opposite? Like maybe they're feeding off everybody, still giving them the gears on the road, and they're not getting it at home because that's like the worst thing in sports, to be great on the road and bad at home.
It's because they're used to cheating at home.
And then they're not allowed to now. So why
And
are
now
they good on the
so
road
they can't
though?
figure it out because they're a good baseball team. But they
Okay.
just never could figure it out at home.
They're still holding the Elks beer for. Well, okay, good on the road is a
Yeah,
stretch.
that's right.
But
Yeah,
bad
yeah.
at home.
Yeah.
Touche.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, it's been good. This is, there's a great argument, right? What's the best time of the year? Is it this spring where you've got hockey playoffs, baseball starting, NBA playoffs, NFL starting, or is it the fall where it's the opposite, right? So it's such a great debate to have because it all kind of depends on what your favorite. Like I love the Stanley Cup playoffs,
Yeah.
especially the first round, and I love baseball. So I would probably go with this. And I'm more excited about the start of the baseball season and the Stanley Cup playoffs than I would be about the World Series and the start of the hockey season.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
I'm with you on this. I like this time of year because there's good energy. Snow is melting.
Yes.
It's nicer. All these things starting up. I like the hockey playoffs are the best, but I think it was Eric mentioned 4 games in 6 days, and I was just like, God.
Yeah, it's pretty rare there's an off night
I know.
either of those times, right, where nothing happens.
Yeah.
It's weird, but you're right. The time of the year is like I always go back to 06, right? Because we got to go to the rink in your suit. You weren't wearing your heavy jacket.
Yeah.
You could go from covering at that time Eskimos practice to an Oilers practice, so you didn't have to put on, like, it was such a weird thing where you're June and everything is combining. And it kind of was funny that Danny Machocha would get so mad at the lack of coverage at those things, but it is the best time. I mean, fall is great and everything, but you're getting ready to hunker down. Here you're taking off layers and you're excited. I think this is probably my favorite
Wearing
time.
ankle socks.
What do you, fall or?
This is Danny Machocha's favorite time, right, too, now, because he has that nice shiny cup.
Oh, that's right.
Sitting on his desk.
That is.
You know what? Good for him. Good for Jason Moss. I mean,
It did not end well here, yeah.
No,
But it ended as it should have.
probably.
Yeah. And
It
you know
was
what? I
time. I
like
needed
that.
that.
You're right. Good on second chances for people, right?
Yet
Moss wouldn't have been the coach that he is in Montreal if he didn't have his
If he didn't go
exit
through
from
it,
Edmonton
yeah. He
and his
learned.
exit from Saskatchewan too.
he has said that much publicly as well.
Well, it's everything. Whether you're a 14-year-old kid playing in a deciding game for the very first time, or a man going through your first trials and tribulations of coaching, you all learn from it and use it at your next. It's the greatest quote I heard was this year: "A loss is only a loss if you don't learn from it." And there was a coach in the JPHL, Ryan Carlson, and I thought that could be applied to everything. If you have a bad show and you don't learn from it, you're just going to repeat that, right?
Must be
If
why
you-
we keep having bad shows here. Damn it.
But it's anything. You can
Working
apply
on it.
that to everything in your life, right?
Why would you raise the bar with one good show and then show everybody just the baseline of everything else?
Right.
That'd be terrible.
They need at least one good one in a year.
I'm sure there was.
Yeah.
There's a sign out there that says "Be the best that you can be," right?
Yeah.
I don't read it enough.
Yeah. My uncle Diego.
Jerry's now saying it should be the
Yeah.
worst you can be,
Well,
apparently.
that
So it always
reminded
has the
me-
low bar.
I love this line from my uncle Diego. I don't know where he got it, but it's beautiful. Aim low and achieve.
That's right.
There you go.
Well, and there is like new GMs that come into different teams and they come in promising the world,
Right,
right?
right,
It's
right.
like
Oh, I love the new
What's
coach
the-
one too.
yeah, like but
We're
it's
gonna change
always
the culture.
the smart thing is, give lower expectations and then hit those. Don't come in and say we're going to be top 5, blah 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 blah, and you set those expectations so high that you can't. I'm not saying you're as a new coach you come in and say we're going to have 3 more wins, but you probably shouldn't come in and say we're going to run the table. It's about hitting those expectations, or naming those expectations, hitting them, and building your confidence as a organization instead of coming in and saying we're going to win, go for the moon here.
Under promise, over deliver.
That's what I was trying to think of the whole time I was saying that, and I couldn't. Thanks for summing it up.
You're bang on. And here's the thing: you look back and you're like, yeah, Machocha had his life cycle here. Yeah, Moss did too. What about this current crew that's running that club right now? It's like, you've got Chris Jones, who nobody likes in this town.
Well, isn't that going to depend on who buys the team?
This is true as well.
Yeah.
Talk about over-promising. And, I mean, and he didn't even have to say anything. It was just assumed, Chris Jones will come in, a couple of years, be right back at the top, and there's been nothing.
Well, I got to think that if whoever's buying the team is coming in and saying, yeah, this is your second time here, I can't imagine whoever buys the team won't come in and make sweeping changes.
As long as they don't give the next guy a 4-year term in the environment of the CFL right now, where the football ops cap is what it is, and you are stuck with that decision. Like there's.
Well, whoever gets this team, and 6:30 Chet had the interview yesterday this weekend with Tom Richards saying 20 interested parties. So they'll have to vet that. It should be done by the beginning
So
of
that should
training
be
camp.
like 5 serious ones.
would
You think that out of those 20, it's going to be fairly easy for them to whittle it
there's
down
that,
to 5.
Garrick Jones one, which is the player thing. That's going to be thrown away quickly.
Yeah.
I'll start to say that right now. When you're that public with your bid and stuff, you're a lot of talk. You don't really have much else. You don't have the substance then. You don't have the financial. Usually whenever there's type of sale, it's the quiet ones that come out on top.
Yeah, look at Mark Chipman and Winnipeg,
Exactly.
David Thompson,
So-
right? They stayed.
When you see 20,
Brutally
though,
quiet.
you're hoping that there's now, 3, 4, 5 really good ones that they can now go through and get which one's going to get the bid for this.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
then
you should be
so
able
they
to go
take
from
over
20
the
to
team.
5 to 3 fairly quickly.
But then you take over this team. Chris Jones will get the year. And if
Really?
they win.
Really?
Well, he's got to finish the year.
Why? Well, I guess it's
Because he's got
I
too
guess
many
it's a
hats.
little late
If you
now.
fire him
eh?
in August, it's okay. You need a GM.
You're right, yeah.
If you fire him, you're probably getting rid of your assignment then at the point, so he can't be your GM. You need a head coach.
It's too
there's
late,
just
I guess,
whole
to make
things.
changes this year.
But if they go and win this year, if they go finish second in the West, you give him that last year. He's only got one more year left. You give him that last year. Chris Jones
He has 2 more years left, right?
this year, next year.
This year, yeah. Okay.
You've already went through the growing pains with him. Why not?
And
let
you're
him see
right.
his
If you're
vision?
buying the team, like they said, they wanted to buy June for their big event.
Yep.
You're not making a change right before training camp like that.
Well, the team's done that before.
Yeah,
Don Matthews out.
That's
Tom
for
Higgins
different.
in
That
and
was for
training camp.
different issues,
absolutely.
though,
But
right?
this franchise has done that, so it wouldn't be a complete
Now,
shocker.
listen. If something happens, if you have to do that, you do that. But you don't do that just because you bought the team. You're right. You're probably gonna be. It's too late. We'll see what happens out of this. And
you
if
give
he
it- and you
does
see what
well,
happens.
then I guess what are you gonna do? But
Especially as the owner coming in, you're like, this isn't my fault.
But wouldn't
Let's
you-
just
yeah.
let it
Yeah.
go. So,
I guess
you can't
so, yeah.
lose,
I also
but
think
you could win.
If you're a new owner coming in, I think the best thing you could also do is, especially if you're coming at the start of the year,
Just watch.
observe the season.
I would have
Watch it.
somebody on waiting, somebody that I trust, that if this goes off the rails quickly, we're making a move, so that you show, in my opinion, that it's not going to be the same old. If I'm the new owners, I have somebody that I trust waiting. If this gets ugly early, we can make some sort of move. Keep some of the same voices, but get the main voice out. That's what I would be prepared for, because otherwise, you buy the team, same coaching staff, same results. People are going to be like, well, I'm not coming. Like you only have one chance to make a good new first impression as an ownership. Can you waste it on the same old going the whole season?
And I'd wait until the next cycle when other head coaches come up and there's actually a market there and it's all in front of you and make a decision then instead of forcing something through at a weird time.
So you'd let it go a whole year?
Yeah.
I'm
It
thinking
depends
about
on the
Can they
results,
afford
too, though.
that?
It all depends on the results again too. Like
I know, but I'm saying if it struggles, if
if
a
you're
whole
struggling,
year.
I'm making a move, but that might be because I'm also
I just make
personally
a
trying to
temporary move, and
salvage.
I have somebody that knows that this is going to be just
Give
coming
me
into
Jim Barker as the interim GM for the rest of the
somebody that
season.
just comes
Come
in
on.
to,
Why
to
not?
keep the team going, and then
interim
you're going to
GM?
make full changes the next year. Because I think if you come in and it gets off the rails bad again, people are like, same old, I'm not coming back. That's just my thought on it. Hopefully it goes well. New owners come in, there's excitement, and it carries over for the team because this is a good city to have a football team in. So I want to see this team succeed. I just worry that there's been so much ill will the last couple of years that can you afford to, like, if you're buying this team and trying to turn it around, can you wait a whole year?
There is so much ill will that I don't even know if winning would fix it right now. Right?
Really?
Like the fan base has just been, and maybe it's better now, maybe a little bit, but they've just been slapped in the face so many times.
I'll counter that with the part of last season when they went 4 wins in 6 games or something, and Trey Ford was electric. There was the tide was changing in the city.
Did the
You could
crowd
tell.
return, though?
Crowd started returning.
okay.
There was the games that they were getting fans back, and there was an excitement. And even in our inbox, because we were on the air, it was people saying, "I'm more of that casual. Trey Ford's getting me excited." And then what has changed is the fact that they've gone McLeod at the top. So we've heard those same people been like, "I was only excited about Trey Ford. I'm now pissed off.
Yeah.
Why am I going to go this year?" But that's where I did start seeing it change. If you get the right team that starts winning.
So
that
if you
can
start
market,
4-1, let's say, first 5 games, you're 4-1. Is that lower bowl full?
I think close.
You think so?
What, we're talking 31,000.
Yeah.
Last year they averaged 26,000 or something like
Whoa.
that. Now
That's-
some games,
that's
some-
what was
That's
announced,
by their
right?
numbers.
okay,
Yeah.
but there was like the Labor Day rematch was a legit crowd against Calgary.
That
That
one
was
was,
31,000 or whatever it was. That was a legit crowd. The rest of that, once Rick Lawlisher took over, those were legit crowds that walked through those doors. Because Victor Cui was known for papering the city, and that's where those attendance figures came up. One of the first things Rick Lawlisher did when he came in was stop that. He stopped the papering of the city with tickets.
Right.
That when we got
That
those
weren't being
attendances,
used.
we got more realistic or accurate numbers close to the end of the season than earlier, and they were getting over 20. So now all of a sudden you put a winning team in the summer. Yeah, I think they could. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say 31 every game. 26, 27. I 100% believe they can do that.
I think
There are fans out there who are like, show me. And yes, Trey Ford was a big pickup. At least people started talking about them again. And that's exactly what the CFL needs. A Canadian QB who can make people stop
Dazzle.
and watch the highlights. And maybe that's how you get him back in. But what does Chris Jones do? Benches him again, decides it's not the way to go. It's just, I don't know.
another slap in the face, Gene.
Another, well, the big slap in the face was, and the board that rightfully finally made the first right decision in a long, long time and figured we can't be making decisions for this club anymore. We got to sell. I mean, people are still miffed over the our fan base is too many old white guys comments and things like I can't believe the downward spiral that and just how low it actually got under the current regime.
Well, Uncle Diego, same thing. Grew up going to games, loved the team, and then as soon as he heard that, he's like, "I'm done." And I've asked him, "You want to come to a game?" Come. I still have my season seats. He goes, "Nope, I'm an old white guy. Sorry, not going." Brings it up to this day, and that was what 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just like, that's how they feel about me. I'm just a wallet. See you later. I'm like, but there's so many new people that work there. That guy's gone.
Also, the
He's like, I don't
truth is,
care.
though, you are just a wallet.
Well, to
I'll
everybody,
just say that right now. To all sports franchises,
well,
you are
every
just a
franchise,
wallet.
yeah, not
straight up,
just-
you are-
yeah.
To the Oilers, you're just a wallet.
At
Just
the
throwing
game
that out
on
there.
Saturday, they're doing the loyalty
You can
rewards,
understand.
and
You have to
I'm just
understand
like,
that.
what a pile of crap.
At the Oiler game.
yeah, this is loyalty bias.
Yeah, it's every franchise is your dollar sign. And, you know, I'm not
It's
saying there
business.
aren't owners and certain franchises. Like, listen, there are franchises and teams out there that do care about the fans. If you look at the concession prices at an Atlanta Falcons game, it's actually
And
normal.
that's only in certain spots. It's
Okay,
not the whole concession.
that's
Like, I think
fine.
it's just Upper Bowl. They
Tell
have
me
those
where
cheap
in
ones,
Rogers
yeah.
Place I can get a burger and a drink for less than $26.
At an Oil Kings game.
Oil Kings games only for
Bingo.
kids.
No, but
Only
tell
for
me,
kids,
tell
that's
me
it.
at an Oiler game
Yeah, no.
where I can find
can't.
that concession in Rogers that's going to give me that Atlanta Falcons
And
deal.
that, I will say, that's
The
North
Masters, look
America.
at the Masters.
That's
I know.
North America.
So
I just-
there are a few.
Oh,
but
Masters! I love the Masters.
The Masters, like
Because what I love about the Masters was the
crazy.
arrogance behind it. The Masters isn't having it cheap so that they give so you can buy something for cheap. They have it because they don't need your money. That's the way I look. They sit
Yeah.
there and like, your money's not good here. Here, have your little pimento sandwich and enjoy our little tournament. Have fun.
But
I just love that one because to me I sense it as this arrogance, but that's what makes it kind of beautiful. The Masters.
But most franchises are basically they're looking like there are now there are now teams that are looking at building stadiums, and what do? They take out the kind of the wallet friendly, family friendly, and put in suites, put in suites, right? Very few people, although.
Well-
The guy who Ballmer, who owns the Clippers, is actually, from what I read, building his new stadium with fans in mind. So there's
Clippers
a guy.
only section.
There's a guy who is looking at his fan base as not just a number and saying there's people that can't afford it, so we're going to put them in here. There's people. There's going to be one section where you cannot wear. So if they're playing the Lakers, you cannot wear a Lakers jersey. Like that's creating a home court advantage where you make your fans want to come to the games instead of saying, I'm not going.
Yeah.
You
There
know?
was a promise very briefly when the arena debate in Edmonton was happening where there was supposed to be a family section.
Yeah, I remember that too. Yeah.
That didn't happen.
No.
And then they went with the load sheeting.
Oh, there was part of it was that there was a promise from the Cates that
Yeah,
they
I
would
remember
build
that.
a family-friendly area, and that never occurred.
It's called Ford Hall.
Yeah, or the fan park.
Well, hey, listen, I had tickets to Neil Young in Edmonton, and from what I've been able to glean, he's not coming now
it's
because
canceled.
Yeah, it got canceled. And I think because it was like a pop-up venue where the old casino was.
Yeah, it's where the back rat used to be. It was the
Right.
outdoor.
Yeah, the
I
fan
think it's
park.
expensive for that too.
Yeah, they were not that expensive actually.
$120 for that venue.
That,
Yeah, but it's an outdoor
Neil
concert.
Young was going to
Neil-
play at that.
Yeah, and then he
Yes.
canceled. So we ended up buying tickets for Calgary. It's at
Oh.
Fort Calgary. But
I really wanna
I
see
don't.
Neil
I
Young.
don't understand. Like, it's the same thing. We have this pop up venue that these people are going to look at and say, "I'm not playing in that."
But they did have a big EDM festival.
Yeah,
there
they
last year.
did. It was very
And
popular.
people loved it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But that's
So,
EDM.
That's what I'm
That
talking
works
about.
for EDM.
Yeah.
You're not getting major artists to come through and play in a concrete park.
Yeah,
It's a weird setup.
There's some ideas being batted around for what to do with that.
Yeah, like I think using it for something is great, but
Yeah.
don't try to lure in superstar artists, man.
Can't you just listen to Neil Young on Spotify now? How long did that last?
I can
2 years, maybe 3.
Till he finally clued in. He's like, man,
I like money.
I like money.
Yeah.
What changed?
He has his own streaming service too. I don't think he cares
that
that
doing?
much about money. Like I think he honestly, obviously the Spotify thing.
It was about Joe Rogan.
It was about Joe
right.
Rogan. It was because
he had issues
Joe
with
Rogan,
Joe
and it was
Rogan.
during the
Yeah,
height
yeah.
of COVID,
Spotify
and,
owned Joe Rogan stuff.
Yeah.
and they wouldn't
And
fact check it and things.
He was
like
upset about that. And
Yeah.
Joe Rogan has a new deal with Spotify. I believe, I could be wrong on this, it allows him to post stuff on YouTube now, so it's not 100% exclusive to Spotify. So I think that's what opened up the door a little bit for Neil Young to be like, I'm back. I don't know if
Maybe,
he's back
yeah.
yet.
I have no
I don't
idea.
know.
I gotta look.
I just listen to records for Neil Young. So.
Nice, nice.
But not all, I don't have enough of his records, and that's the thing. Yeah, he's back on. Sweet. I can listen to a bunch of his songs again.
I have a text I want to get to, and I'm curious to hear you guys' thoughts. This is from Rams fan. Good morning, Rams fan. Text in 780-218-9999 says, the ill will has been around so long and has a strong hold on not just the fans, but brother, it's hit the media too. The not so subtle undertones has seeped into the mindset of those who are writing articles on the team.
We're talking Elks.
This is Elks.
Isn't anybody still writing articles on the team?
Well,
at this point,
you were doing it for a while, and then now I don't know who's doing it. Now that you
Yeah,
moved on
there's
to the
not a
hockey
lot.
beat.
There's not a lot out there.
CP. Canadian Press. Is that it?
When I did,
Like maybe it's a national. Is this like the national, like the Three Down Nation they're talking about?
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe.
Like
There's just
I
not
did
a
read
lot.
an article the other day about the ownership. Sure, it was based on the interview on
Yeah,
Ched.
that's 3 down.
That's really the only thing I've read lately about other than this sale.
well, outside of like in-house EE TV, Avery,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got the Ched crew.
Ched
Those
boys.
boys are always.
and then like you'd be down there, and then I did a couple things last.
But nothing's going on right now.
But there's also the one thing is this franchise hasn't been good since 06 really. Like since 06 to now they've had 3 good seasons. They had
Mike Riley.
14, 15 years and then 12
Chris
they actually
Jones.
hosted a game. Like outside of that, they actually haven't had a lot. There's not a lot of positivity to talk about with this franchise. There hasn't been.
Stephen Giles.
I brought up Machocha the other day because I was doing a playoff game in the JPHL, and this team scored in the shootout and thought they had won the shootout. So they
excellent.
started like all piling off the bench and the premature celebration. I'm like, hey, the Danny Machocha, which is...
Did they win, by the way?
What's that?
Did they still win?
They ended up winning.
Okay, so it's just like Danny
it was
Machocha and
just
the
like,
Elks.
but
Okay.
like that was one of the that's the only Grey Cup I got to cover as for Global. It was a great Grey Cup. Hervey scored that late touchdown, but
It's one of the best Grey Cups
I'll
ever.
always
That was
remember the premature celebration, and luckily it worked out well. But I go back to those days, and listen. There were 3 sports guys in every television department. There were sports talk radio. There was lots of papers. So it is a different era.
Yeah.
And there has been a lot of terrible stuff happening. So what could you write positively if you were going to write, other than they might be sold, which is the one positive thing. So I go back, now it's 15 years ago or whatever it is, or whatever. No, that was 20...
It was 05.
05, yeah.
It's almost 20 years
so
ago.
almost 20 years ago now. It's the whole landscape is different, not just the team. The team was successful. We were all successful in media. Now there's just nobody covering it. So when there's 2 or 3 people covering it, there's less likely of one of those people thinking, I'm going to write a positive thing. It's just the nature of the business, the way it is. It's numbers.
Well, I felt that coming over in NHL playoffs last year. It's like, okay, we're going to get you on Hockey Beat now. So I go from being like one of 2 guys covering a football team all season long to, wow, there's still media in this town,
That's
right?
right.
Like you're back in. It's like, wow, it's like
There's people around.
I had to reach in there to get my mic in, right?
Scrums are bigger, yeah.
Yeah, but that's what it used to be like on those walkthrough days for
That's
Double
right.
E games.
It was.
And it was fun.
Well, there'd be 5 cameras down there.
Yes.
It was fun for us too. You'd get around. Walkthrough days are very, you don't have to be watching all their
Right.
running around. So
You're outside
it was,
in the sun.
It was a socialization
As
for
opposed
the
to being
players.
inside a rink,
the players were excited because they're getting ready for the game.
Yeah.
But it was exciting for us because we'd talk about matchups, different things. You'd get together and. Now, I'd
Sandwiches.
imagine, the sandwiches. Now it's a ghost town, and even I don't know. Even it must be way less at Oilers too than it ever has been.
Yeah,
Like that,
it's
it
gone
used
down.
to be. Think about 20 years, right?
Yeah.
There's
Well, there was 3
there's
writers
no
for
cameras
each
there
newspaper.
anymore, hardly,
Right.
other than
There's-
the
that's 6.
Oilers one.
Oilers.
Global might send a camera guy.
Global just created. Basically, Slav is now the sports department.
Oh,
again.
shocking! Like you knew that was going to happen.
I didn't. I'm actually
Come on,
impressed.
seriously.
CTV never went back to sports.
Yeah.
I
When
know, but I'm
things go
saying-
away, they don't come back.
No, I'm talking
And
about
stunned that-
Slav in particular in that situation. Like honestly, you gave John Sexsmith 0 goodbye.
Yeah.
And
He only put in 25 years.
and then Kevin left, and Kevin said, "I want the same exact goodbye as you gave John." So he left, and now they're just gonna throw the sports back to Slav. I mean, I'm happy for Slav. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
It's just
But like,
Quinn
I'm
also
stunned that they
left.
got back to it because when it goes away, it doesn't come back.
and getting back to
they
it.
got
it's-
away. Like Slav was there, they got rid of sports,
Yeah.
and then it was, oh no, we're actually going to bring it back. And I will give them credit for that because generally when that stuff leaves us, we don't get it back.
Now, when you
And that's
say
the
get
pro-
it back,
well, there's
there's
now
gonna be an
sportscast
asterisk.
on the 6 o'clock again, which there wasn't.
Okay, will that continue this summer when there's nothing going on?
I don't think why
so.
they would bring it back in February and then get rid of it again.
Man, they got rid of weekend sports one time when I was there because they needed to burn out. Like, it's just, I'm telling you, there's stuff to talk about right now.
Yep.
That's great. I'm glad they're doing it. I'm happy for Slab. Show me in July when they have Sportscast on at 6 o'clock and you have nothing to fill it with.
Guys, sports radio all but disappeared in this town except for maybe 1 hour a day for the longest time until you guys gorillaed it and got it back going.
I like that gorilla.
Yeah, it can come back.
Ours isn't the corporate coming back, though.
Yeah.
It comes back in a different way,
yeah,
right?
There you go.
It's the people's.
And that's where, like,
Sports
like
media
with
now.
CFL, like, I know there's people
like
there's people that rip 3 Down Nation for various reasons, but at least there's someone covering this right now, right?
It's somebody other than the CFL.ca.
Yeah,
Right?
and
You want just league-fed
you don't want-
information or do you
absolutely.
want somewhat independent?
We don't know, like, Edmonton might not have anyone with Postmedia. Danny Austin's off in Calgary. He was great with it. Like,
Did they
right
get
there.
rid of Danny?
No, he's on Flames.
Oh, he's at the
Right?
Flames now.
Just like
Okay.
Gerry
Just
went to the
got bumped up
NHL.
like
And
Gerry
it's
did.
like, overall, as we're talking about the media and there's less at Elks, more like there's still a little bit more at the Oilers. That's not a byproduct fully about the CFL being small. It's just that the media landscape is just shrinking.
So are you
going to
do both then?
Shrinking,
Are you
shrinking.
you go back on the Elks?
I'm gonna get there as much as I can. Absolutely.
But for
But you also need time off as a hockey reporter, right?
Intents and purposes, hockey is our number
That's
one.
what I'm
you
saying,
know
yeah.
what you know what butters your bread.
that's what I'm
and
saying. So
and it's not just media driven. This is, I mean, we know the clicks. We know who's reading what.
sure.
I'll put it this way. I was told one thing. This was 5 years ago when we amalgamated with the Journal, and I probably shouldn't have been told this, but I was anyways, and I was still gung ho. Football all the time as much as I could get. And I was told of the 100 top sports stories on our websites in this market, 99 of them are Oilers. One of them is Eskimos at the time, and nothing else even registers. And I'm like, what do you want me to do?
Why would you tell me that? Yeah. I had a news director at Global Television say to my face in a meeting, nobody cares about weekend news. I'm like, why did you just tell the weekend sports anchor that? Thanks.
No kidding.
Like, why would you tell your employees nobody cares about what you're doing? It's the most deflating thing ever.
Yeah. And that's the downward spiral of media over the past decade.
That's it is that it's look at CTV. Well, I guess maybe people don't care because CTV canceled their weekend news. Like it's a sad state. And this, like I thought the other day, Winnipeg Sports Talk celebrated a big anniversary. This is what it comes down to now is, guerrilla tactics and guerrilla media and starting your own. And we've seen it out in Vancouver, like Donnie and Dollywall are on Check. They started their own thing.
Yeah.
Calgary started their own, even though they still have those guys left the sports station and started their own when 960 is still there.
Yeah.
This is what it's coming down to is I will not be surprised if you see somebody take a run at some sort of highlight show, whether it's like a loop show or whatever, like the Score used to have.
I
which
used to
was
love that.
awesome.
Headline Sports.
Oh my God, it was so good.
Half-hour loop.
I have to think somebody is going to take a run at saying, hey, we're not going to have all the programming that TSN and Sportsnet has, but we can buy highlights somehow. And, there's a process that you have to go through for that. But we can put something. I'm wondering because this stuff is working. The Score was awesome when it was a loop.
Keep your eye on the Score.
It was so good. And then they would do ice surfing every once in a while. I wonder when somebody's going to take a run at that, or do people get enough of that just by clicking on TSN and Sportsnet or ESPN, whatever it is?
You get enough of that clicking on Twitter.
Look at
I can find
that's
any
true,
highlight.
actually,
I can
yeah.
find any single
Yeah,
highlight I want.
And that's the problem because it's all
But
followed.
can you find all night, in one package? As I'm saying. I'm saying if you wanted to tune in
I
to
guess
see
the closest is
every NHL game highlight,
I guess the biggest thing is now you could get. The NHL does this. I do it for soccer sometimes.
the condensed games.
You get in 3 minutes.
Yeah,
just the highlights. Boom,
yeah.
done. I can go quickly.
So
watch.
you could go on site online.
But
to do that.
you're bang on, Iwanyk. And the problem is it's all followed the advertising dollars to the social media realm as well. Why is anybody buying ads locally when they can just be, I'm going to put it on Facebook and get more there, even though Facebook doesn't do anything but regurgitate clips from shows like on your station, from things out of the newspaper articles and things like that. And none of that advertising dollar goes back to the actual boots on the ground who are providing the content, and it shrinks.
You know who's going to do it? It's going to be a betting company. Whether it's DraftKings or one of these big betting companies, they're going to start doing their own highlight shows. So that's two things. They suck you in with the highlights, and then they keep you there. It's like Prime getting the NFL games. They suck you in for the game, and then they get you buying a bunch of stuff while you're watching the game.
All they want to do is squeeze that wallet dry and kick you off.
I bet you it's a betting.
Guy,
they'll be like, hey, let's start doing, and I think they do, like,
I know there's a VSiN in Las Vegas.
Like prop shows and things like that. But I bet you it'll be a betting company that says, why don't we start doing highlight shows and bring them in and incorporate all that? Because,
but do people want the highlight show?
Well,
do you watch SportsCenter?
Hang on, like
some people do. Obviously,
speaking of SportsCenter, you know how back like when we came into the business, there's you start out on a small station, you work your way up to a major market, then eventually national gets you. Now, like there was a progression there, right? Like if you were good enough, you climb the ladder. Now you look at the sports centers of the world, and outside of the established like highlight readers, the guys that have been, I think of all the ladies at TSN, and then like got Jermaine out there now. He left Calgary, was a reporter. Like Dino Dutchie's health hasn't been good, but then you see the people that they're replacing them with. Like when those people go on vacation, the established anchors that are like so good at what they do, and they're throwing in the kids from Bar Down, and Bar Down was just like this joke side piece that they had, and I'm like, what is going on?
Well,
like, why aren't you finding someone from CTV? Oh, because there is no sports at CTV. Calgary, Edmonton, Montreal, Toronto, Vancouver. So that progression's completely gone. They're using these bar down people that are all they want to do is Instagram memes, and now they're making them anchors alongside these like established, really good anchors. And you're like, these two don't fit. The dichotomy of this doesn't work.
It's just the boom goes the dynamite kid out there,
exactly.
right? In comparison.
So good though.
Rod
so
Smith
good.
and then
or
meme,
the little this,
generator.
little that.
It's like,
little that's going up the top shelf on SportsCenter. It's true though. Like, okay, here's my progression to get to where I am now. 97, I started in Brandon. Doesn't exist anymore. That the city does. Yeah. The station is non-existent. Then in 99, I went to Red Deer. No, 2000, 99, 2000. That station doesn't exist anymore. RDTV is gone.
RDTV. They always had The Simpsons on. It was great.
We had the Flames games. We were CBC. It was great. We covered the Rebels to the Memorial Cup. So that station's gone. Then I went to Red Deer for Regina for 10 months. Well, they don't have a sports department anymore. And every time I drive past that station on the way home, it's less and less cars there. And then I got to Edmonton in 2003. And now they don't. Well, now Slav is the one sports guy. So the four places that I worked at, especially the three places I worked at to get to a major market, are eliminated now, are gone. So you're right. It's college kids like, hey, that guy has a good look, that girl has a good look and a good read. We're going to train them. The rest come out right out of, like, there's no more. And I've said this ad nauseum. The places where you're going to go to learn are production companies like For Vengeance Media, Edmonton Sports Doc. Like you guys have Zachary Kubish doing an internship. We had him doing some play-by-play games for us at For Vengeance. We are the training ground now. You guys, production companies like us, you know, if you want to get into sports, if you want to get into news, there's still news jobs open, although there's a lot less of those. Yeah. But sports jobs are non-existent now. Like when I came into sports media, Brandon, Manitoba, we had 3 sports guys in Brandon. Are you kidding me? Like I would go out and I can't believe the stuff we used to do
Bobcats.
and get away with. Yeah, Bobcats, senior, like driving 2.5 hours to shoot one baseball game. That just does not happen anymore. But it was a different time, and obviously the landscape is different. And I feel bad for kids wanting to get into sports because there's just so few things left for them.
I just realized you guys are UHF, and that makes Dusty Weird Al.
That's right.
Like you guys are doing what you want.
I love it. That's totally
great.
Brandon Fraser, Weird Al. That was
love it.
Was Brandon Fraser? No, that
No,
was
That was probably a couple weeks ago, and I've never seen
Which
it.
one?
UHF was Weird Al,
UHF,
right?
Yeah.
Weird Al.
Yeah.
Spatula City.
The other one was like Brandon Fraser and
Airheads.
Sandler. Airheads. Yeah, that's why
Also excellent.
I got those mixed up. But yeah, UHF. You're right. Or what's the Pump Up the Volume one with Christian Slater? They drive
boy,
around in the truck broadcasting their own. Like, this is what guys used to do on like ham radios, right? Like in the day,
Yeah.
like, get on, try to do their own show. Now you guys are doing
Yeah.
it. And this is what, unfortunately, has had to happen.
Life will find a way.
You guys are the cockroaches of media. You just won't die.
Well,
Damn right.
That's
Yeah.
your slogan.
We won't cockroaches. We won't die.
we won't die. We're still going. But when people ask, like, what they're like, what are you guys? This is a podcast? No, it's like we took 1260. We basically made as much of it the same as what we had before.
Take all the good stuff
Yeah.
and chop out what you don't want.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see where we can go with it.
Let's see where we go.
But with all that, like the writing though still isn't there though. Like with all this, we're talking like there's not the writing though, and there's no small town papers basically anymore.
Yeah.
So
And-
we're getting nothing when it comes to writers.
Well,
and
and-
people don't understand, and I'll think just beyond sports even how important journalism is,
And that's-
of
and
course.
it's necessary, and how some of the biggest stories we've had in our history have come because of having people on the ground
Where are people
reporting
getting- where are
and being
people-
able
yeah.
to go do it. Like the Spotlight team of Boston Globe, major. Like you need those investigative teams.
yeah.
You need those people at your city hall to find those stories. And when you don't have them, we're missing stuff. We're not learning things.
the
And
worst-
that's the scary
The
part.
worst part is we don't know what we're missing. We
Yeah.
don't know what stories
Yeah.
are
Right.
out there. You can't go back and look at. You can go all the way back and see Wayne Gretzky go through the rank, and they dig those up from that very grassroots stuff that
Yep.
you just it's not out there anymore.
Yeah, and to piggyback on that, we don't know what we're missing, and where are we now getting a lot of our information from? John B 2533 on X.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, this guy says this. Well, that's gospel then. Like the misinformation. I think the biggest problem with the decline of media is the amount of misinformation that is being put out there.
Yeah.
Because people are like, well, I saw it on Twitter. Do you say, well, if it's on TV, it's true, right? That's what they used to say. Or if it's in the paper, it's true. If it's on the radio, it's true. Well, that wasn't always the case, first of all. And now the people are saying, well, I saw it on a video on social. Well, that doesn't mean it's true.
But at least if it wasn't true, it gave a black eye to whatever organization
Yeah,
went
and
out
usually
with
there
it.
was a
And
retraction
and
or
then
something.
they had to kind of earn the
Because there was
trust
the
back.
journalistic integrity that
Now
you've
that's
got
gone.
to stand by it. And
Yeah.
it's,
Now people do it for a joke.
That's right. Like people make fake accounts to trick people, which it's the punk. That's their prank call, right? People used to prank call radio stations. That's how they prank call now is fake Twitter names.
Every day is April Fool's, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Every day is April Fool's, which is today. Good one.
I haven't seen anything really in April Fool's, and I'm thrilled.
I
Like
hate
any
it.
good ones.
Yeah.
No one's caught me. There's not even really the stupid ones that I've seen a few times, and I'm just like, I've seen a couple things. I'm like, perfect. This
Every
is
day,
perfect amount.
Anybody can do it. Any day.
Yeah. It's like
Got
it's
the printing
lost
press
its
in my
luster.
pocket. I can just
Like
put
we
it
did
out
a
there.
story one time at RDTV that there was going to be a toll at the start of Red Deer and the end of Red Deer. And man, people. And
That's beautiful.
We did the story, and it backfired on us because halfway through the story, the phone in our newsroom were like, oh, and then we did hey, this is a joke at the
Whoops,
end.
it was too good.
But there's a minute and a half of phone calls, and that's the thing. When you do an entire story, people don't wait for the end; they just flip out, right? And so we were like, okay, we're never doing that again.
They read the headlines. And
Yeah,
that's,
that's
exactly
it. Yeah.
what happened.
And then the next day, people, did you hear they're putting a toll? Yeah, that was April Fool's Day. So like for a week, we were having to put out these fires, right?
It
Like,
was
That's
too
amazing.
good.
it was too
I would say
good.
just
yeah.
don't put any ideas into the.
Yeah, like I think you just
that
let.
actually, there's someone sitting there probably going, "That's some
Hey,
nice money
yeah,
right there.
yeah,
You know?
tolls,
That's a nice
hey,
little
yeah.
toll."
I'm surprised our
And it's
current
in
government.
Calgary,
I mean,
we could get that
City
figured
of
out here.
Edmonton's like, this Dean Millard, these tolls are great.
get
We're going to
this
put them on the
toll.
Henday now.
You
It's
wrecked it.
Red Deer kind of like, huh?
That's
That-
Dean Millard, everybody.
that big that $1 billion think tank right now is writing it down. Hey, tolls.
What? Isn't that what this is? Well, minus the $1 billion.
Yeah, that's
You're
right.
Think tank right here, baby.
Totally.
You know what I love about this think tank? I don't know how many times. This is probably my 4th or 5th time on this show. The
Well,
very first time.
If it was your 5th, you'd get the,
Oh,
the
I got
bathroom.
the bathroom,
Yeah.
yeah. The very first time I asked Matthew, hey, what are we going to talk about? And we never talked about any of those topics. never once have I come on this show and we sat down before and said, what are we going to talk about? Like, that's the beauty of this think tank, is that it is truly organic. It just came out of, not once did we say, hey, should we talk about the sale? Should we talk about this?
No.
It just started with you asking about live mics, and then we went from there.
Sometimes we don't even wait for the green light.
That's right. Yeah, sometimes you just you're so excited.
There are no rules here. That's what I was told. If there were, I wouldn't have been back.
It's just such an organic show that it really does take a life of its own every day at 9 a.m.
Every time Jerry's asked if he wants to come back, he goes, have you guys put in rules? And we go, no. Okay, perfect.
You guys don't even ask anymore. I'm just standing outside the door tapping my foot every time the show's done.
This isn't Lebowski. There are not rules, and this is not.
Oh, I love it.
We had actually one guest come because he was around. We had Fergie's prostate.
Oh, yeah.
He was just here one morning, and then like, you're coming on the hangout, and he was on for 2 hours.
Best line to close out a show. He goes, I've been sitting on a fart for 20 minutes. And we're like, oh, my God.
That is great.
Like,
but that's the thing. You walk in the front
just
door.
walk in.
You don't know who's in here hanging out already.
That's right.
And
that's why it's the
what
hangout.
the official hangout is going to look like. And who cares? Because it's always something.
that was
Today
you and
was a busy
Dusty.
day? Oh, for this?
Yeah.
It was me, Dusty, and Eric actually hanging out in their room.
Yeah.
Came up with this idea.
Yeah.
Well-
we were sitting in chairs trying to figure out what we would do, and we were like, why not this?
So okay, there was an episode of Simpsons where they go to New York and they're
Great
like,
episode.
"Oh, I gotta see the Mad Magazine headquarters."
yes.
And they come in and there's monkeys swinging from the chandeliers, and so my first time coming in, that's what I half expected to see, and. You know what? You guys had this place set up so fast. It was pretty amazing how we. But then you never know what you're gonna. I come in the front door this morning and there's a brand new little mini basketball hoop up on the wall,
Yeah.
and the mesh is upside
It's
down.
upside
and I'm
down.
like, yeah,
But that's kind of
I can't
par
believe
for the
that none of
course.
us figured that out.
didn't
But I
understand.
think that's like a little bit fitting, though, right?
Absolutely.
That because they've turned the media game upside down here.
Yeah.
I'm just now
well
saying it
played.
because we have the netting upside down. That's why people aren't making shots.
Yeah, I've
That's it.
tried.
Do you think that's why?
I'm gonna go with
It is
that.
off. It is off-putting. You
Because
look at
usually
it,
it's
you're
bigger
like,
at the top and it gets a little smaller at the
Yeah.
bottom. So now we're trying to shoot in the smaller part that we've stretched out a little bit.
Yeah, but the rim is still the same size. It's not like the
It's
netting
no-
has
I'm-
shrunk the rim.
Actually, Dusty apparently could go 5 for 5, and Trevor's
He
telling me
can't
this
go
whole
5
story
for
about he
5.
went 5 for 5. I'm like, no, he didn't. And then Dusty keeps trying to do it, and the most I've seen him get is like 2 in a row.
Yeah.
how do you say swoosh backwards? Because that's a sound.
Yeah, that's right.
Shoosh.
And Dusty can't shoot in here because he's scraping the ceiling with his
Well, what
arms
we
all
have
the
to
time.
do is, if we ever actually play like a game of 2-on-2, because we got the drop down ceilings, I
bring
will
out the
open up
tiles.
those drops
Yes.
down ceilings. Like I will move those away, so we'll still have those. The
You still have the
spacing in
bars.
between.
Yeah.
So you'd have to deal with that part.
Oh, yeah,
but you could get
Through the
over
bar?
some of
Yeah.
it.
That's like the Jordan
Right.
Bird commercial, right?
Love it.
Through the bar, off the
Yeah.
table,
Love it.
off the gauge mask, nothing
but
but
it
net.
opens up a little bit more where you could potentially get it over the bar and through.
I like that.
And that's so. If we ever actually do full 2-on-2, we'll have to
Skills comp.
separate
Wasn't
those.
there a Mia Haim soccer version of that one that came out too or whatever? And it's like
Oh,
going head to head.
maybe.
I remember something like that.
Probably. I think there's a few different versions.
Yeah.
Because there was a Matt
Those were
Sundin,
really-
Wayne Gretzky one,
Nice.
right? I think.
Those were good commercials, though.
Yeah, bring back that. How come there's
You know
no
what I
fun
saw
anymore,
a great
right?
commercial the other day? It was for Fox. Maybe the only thing Fox did well when they took over the NHL coverage is there was a shot of a green of a golf course, and it's like Johnson setting up for the putt. Here it goes, and then the putt, he makes the putt, and then a guy rolls in and like knocks it out of the way, and and Miller comes in with a great save. Oh, that's great. And it's like golf would be better if it was hockey. I'm like, that was a good commercial that I remembered. It was one of the few things that Fox did, but I thought that was funny. It kind of reminds me of the Caddyshack 2, which is not the greatest sequel, but they had the miniature golf course that was set up as a hockey rink or the golf hole, and there was
Really?
the body. Oh yeah, it's
I haven't seen Caddyshack.
Caddyshack 2 is a forgettable movie, but that scene was pretty funny.
Word on the street is you haven't seen Godfather 1 or 2
I have not
either.
seen
He
Godfather.
said he claims to be an Italian.
Wow, that's a low blow.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that hurts. Thank you.
But you haven't seen it. I'm sorry.
confirm, I haven't
How
seen
old
it.
are you?
38.
And you're an Italian and you haven't seen Godfather. Like, I
Correct.
just actually went through this with my dad yesterday. He's never seen it. I was getting mad at him yesterday again.
But
for
your
it.
dad's
But he's
Ukrainian.
so he's allowed. You are an Italian. The fact that you have not seen Godfather or Godfather 2.
Or
is-
UHF.
I haven't seen that.
I've seen
But
parts
that
of
has nothing to do with it. I'm sorry, like, you can't claim to be an Italian fully without having seen those. It's just a rite of passage.
Have you seen
It's a
Rocky?
rite of passage.
Of course. I actually watched
Well,
like
how could you say, of course, I've seen Rocky, but you've never seen Godfather?
I said I love Goodfellas.
Or Godfather 2 then because of that.
I love Casino.
Yeah.
But those came because of The Godfather. As my cousin said yesterday, it was The Godfather that did those movies.
I will watch Godfather.
And Godfather 2.
And Godfather 2.
And then you have to watch Godfather 3 because everyone has to watch it once.
my God.
Once. You have to watch it once.
Just to see
You know,
what
it's not as
everybody's
bad
talking
as everybody makes it out to
And
be.
there was
It
a
is
cut.
not
They
bad.
recut it. They changed some scenes around. And I think it's called the director's cut or something. And it flows a lot better.
It's
now,
not
I will say.
as bad as like. Listen, there's some terrible sequels.
You're
that,
right.
You know, but the Godfather 3 is better than most part 2s of a lot of movies.
It was
that have been
nominated
made.
for Best Picture, and I stand by it. It was a fine movie.
You know the
But
guy that
it's
played.
compared to
Right.
two of the greatest movies of all
That's right.
time, and that'd be like, I don't know, like I'm trying to think how else I could put it. I don't have
The
a
cool
comparison
thing
right now,
about the Godfather movies is the guy that plays Fredo.
yeah,
Every movie that guy made was either nominated or won an
Yes.
Academy Award, and he died early. He was in with Pacino in John. Anyway, the name is escaping me, but it's just a weird like that movie has spawned so many different things, and that guy was in every movie that guy made. Meryl Streep was in one of them, an Academy Award. It's just crazy.
You got to watch them all on the Hangout doing a Mystery Science
Oh
Theater
my
3000
God.
sort of version.
that would be cool.
Hey, we'll
I
just
would-
be in the background.
I will say this:
Camera
I would
over your
love
shoulder.
to just do the Hangout for 4 days, maybe 5 days. We would need it, where we're just watching the Hangout and you're making your comments with the Hangout. That's it. That's all we're doing. We don't even. I'll watch the Hangout for a week or the Godfather for a week.
You guys
Okay.
can do whatever you
We
want.
can do whatever we
I
want.
know.
That's a very
Yeah,
true
you
thing.
really can.
I tune in. That's all I'm saying.
Split screen.
I just want to watch. Well, you can't put the rights up, right? You can't, but you tell everyone to start it.
That's like how we watched the Oilers Caps game. We did
Yeah,
the
it's
live
just a watch party.
Oh, yeah,
And you just
you
tell
could
people
just do
like put
that.
it
Yeah.
on, and then when we start
It's
the next
like when,
episode,
like-
we say we're at timestamp.
Yep.
1 hour 53 minutes. Everyone get there.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. Press play, and then we can watch.
Like
it.
the actors who watch their movies on and then live tweet it.
Yeah.
I think Howard Stern did that one time for a private parts it was on. He was like live tweeting kind of stuff. So it'd be like Tom live watching.
I can do
like
that.
it. I'm in for that.
Has your dad seen Godfather?
Of course. Yeah.
Have any of your brothers?
I think my brothers both have seen it. At least my middle brother. He's a big movie buff. So, yes.
You just have a roadblock, eh? Something.
I would see the
You've
cover
traveled how
of-
much on planes?
A lot.
And you've
How-
never
well,
like
yeah.
thought about like I'll watch The Godfather
Nope.
or something.
I would see it and I'd be like, oh, that's nice. Psh, next movie. Whatever. I'll watch it. No problem. I'll watch it. I was going to ask you guys this.
Yeah, but it's never going to live up to the hype that everybody has made it out
I
to
have
be.
no
might.
expectations for it.
If it doesn't, then I just judge that person. I just I don't trust your movie knowledge at that point.
Says the Big Brother guy.
Yeah, but
and
yeah.
nobody
Yeah.
judges you.
Like
What do you mean no one judges me? You judge me every time.
single time I'm
I
here.
had my nephews
Also,
watch
I
the.
understand Big Brother is about it is a guilty pleasure that is
God.
crap. I understand that.
That's fair.
I don't want. I'm not going to sit here and say it's the greatest television ever designed.
But you think it is?
no, I don't. I just
You
think
love
it's
it.
awesome. I love
But
it.
it's also
But
generation
it's not the
too,
greatest
right?
TV ever.
I had my nephews watch The Exorcist, which I think is the scariest movie of all time.
Absolutely.
They were not scared, and I'm like, that's because the new generation, it's a different
Well, we've
mindset.
got the
Dude, I put that-
CGIs and all
so-
that.
I
So
put that
is-
VHS in a Ziploc bag and
Yeah.
put it in the freezer
It's
after it
so
was
scary.
over.
Scariest movie ever still. So I wonder if Tom is going to get the same feeling of
No.
watching The Godfather as we did along 20 years ago maybe.
We're ruining it for him right now.
I
That's what
don't
we're
think
doing.
so.
No, he's
I'm
a
sad
guy, but he
for
likes
you.
I think
Goodfellas. He
I'll
likes
enjoy.
Casino.
I love Casino.
If
I
you
love
like
Goodfellas.
those,
Which are just Godfather
have you
like.
seen Scarface?
Of course.
Okay, no, you can't say of course. again.
that's right.
You can't say of course.
That's
Of
what I'm
course,
saying.
especially in that genre, you can't say of course. Like, no, you're not allowed. You don't have the privilege to say that one or the right.
Just
You don't
because I
get it.
haven't seen Godfather.
Yeah, because it started it all, right? Like,
Have
no,
you seen Donnie Brasco?
Yes.
Of course.
you can't say of course though. That's like,
I have seen it.
okay, but
He's
so-
seen
it's like
every
he's
mob
like-
movie.
Have you seen Donnie
except-
Brasco?
except the top.
How much one of
Well,
those?
it's the greatest. And so no, it's just
Maybe
one of
Tom
those
really
things.
likes
happening
horses.
here?
Maybe Tom just really likes horses.
No, maybe he's doing it the right way, and he's watching all the subpar ones,
Build up.
and saving the rest for
Oh,
last.
maybe
So
Tom's
now-
smarter than all
so
of us.
if he likes all those though, then he should like Godfather.
You should,
I would think I'm gonna like it.
So then why don't you watch it?
because of this.
I don't know.
Because of this.
Yeah.
Because it drives
Yeah.
you crazy.
Yeah.
'Cause it just gave us
subconsciously.
I think
to talk
Peugeot
about
was
for
like
5
that with the
minutes.
Big Lebowski. He
I have not seen Big Lebowski.
Oh, national
Oh my
treasure.
God! How have you
The
not seen
Big
Big
Lebowski.
Lebowski?
He's a
Is that
national
being
treasure.
Italian?
what?
Doesn't matter. There's
It's
Big
also not one of the
Lebowski is
greatest
all of us.
movies of all time.
What?
It's not in my. It's not.
Because
I will
you've
go
never
to
seen
IMDb.
it.
I
It
will
is
go to
an amazing
IMDb's
movie.
top 10.
The
It's not
Big
there.
Lebowski.
Actually, it might be.
It is.
Oh my goodness.
It is the Shawshank of.
It
Yeah.
really is of
Shawshank
comedy.
is great.
It has so many things, dude, like wild elements
You-
and great actors and actresses.
Man,
like,
you guys
can watch it
seriously
100
need to
times.
find out all the movies that everybody has not watched in this office.
Yeah.
And you guys, that's what you do for a week of the hangout. Is
Yeah.
okay, now we're going to get Godfather out of the way for Tommy. And it's the Big Lebowski. I'll come in and watch the Big Lebowski
Okay.
with you guys.
I'll
And-
come in and describe for the viewers what is happening on the screen.
Wow, there's
As you
guys.
interject your
I want to
thoughts.
know every move, the big movie that somebody hasn't seen in this office, and you guys need to do a week
I
of
have
that.
not seen a single Harry Potter.
Me neither.
Oh, that's-
I started
I'm
watching
same- I'm
Harry
with
Potter
you
and
on
I
that
shut
one.
it off.
That's fine.
I didn't
have
enjoy
no-
it.
no time
It
in
wasn't
my
for me. But I do
life
love
for
Lord of the Rings.
I pushed through.
I would
Dune is
like to
amazing.
watch the Harry Potter at some point, but there's so many of them, I just don't think I'll get through. It's like when I go to watch a new season of a show, if it's already been like 5 or 6 seasons, I know I'm probably not catching up
Yeah.
because like my wife and I are famous for starting a series, getting 3/4 of the way through. It's like a kid in college, right? And then dropping out.
Yeah.
you
Just
know?
rewatch Game of Thrones.
Great. I
Yeah.
love Game
See,
of
I've
Thrones.
never seen Game of Thrones.
See, I haven't
but
watched
it's the
House of
same type
Dragon
thing.
yet. Have you watched House of Dragon?
No.
I don't
I
even
haven't
want to
either.
bother.
It just seems like there's too
Game-
many episodes to catch up on. I haven't seen Breaking Bad.
Yeah, I stopped
And I'd
Breaking
like to,
Bad.
but it's just like
I
one
had
where
to
it's like
stop halfway
I
through.
feel
It's
like this
too
is
sad.
a long commitment
Yeah.
to catch up.
That's what I mean. Like
Hey.
it's like Homeland. We almost finished it. Ozark. We're so close to finishing. Yellowstone. Like I can go down the list
Yeah.
of all these shows we started, and we're just the only thing my wife and I can commit to is each other. Everything else, we
That's
just
beautiful.
Yeah, it's almost it's close to Valentine's Day. Right? Oh, we're past Valentine's.
No, it's
Yeah.
April Fool's.
Oh,
So.
it's
Yeah.
April Fool's.
Yeah.
Yeah. Happy Valentine's Day, Trish.
Oh God. I have a question. Speaking, we're on the movie thing. They announced Happy Gilmore 2.
Love it.
I'm very excited.
You're
but
excited, eh?
There's a lot of people that said no, you cannot.
I'll tell you what.
I
I
didn't
watched
need
Slapshot 2, and I wish I could burn my
Yeah,
eyes
I
out.
haven't
That
done
was
that.
awful.
It was
No, I
the
haven't done
worst
that.
And they even made
piece of
another one after
garbage,
that.
and then they made another one. So
Okay.
I would say, listen, they made Super Troopers 2. I really wanted to see it.
It was great.
It was okay.
I loved it.
It was okay. It wasn't as bad as I
Yeah.
thought it was going to be, but it's never as good. Like you can really tarnish a great movie with a terrible sequel, and I really worry.
You're saying it's no Hot Shots Part 2. What are good sequels? I would put
Ghostbusters
Godfather 2.
Godfather 2, which is one of the
Rocky.
few that actually some people say
Okay.
the sequel is better than the original. Rockies, there's a bunch. Lord of the Rings has them.
I would do the same for Predator. Predator 2. Danny Glover. Excellent.
Yeah.
What
about,
else would be in there? Dune 2,
The Empire
I
Strikes
think
Back.
people could go with,
Yeah,
with
Empire
Dune.
Strikes
But
Back,
it's-
obviously.
But it's supposed to be one show.
One book, yeah.
Right.
Matrix,
But then that'd be the same with Lord of the
second
Rings.
Matrix was really good
But
too.
so is Godfather in a sense. Godfather is one book, and it's broken up into
Yeah,
two
that's
movies.
true. Barry Puzo. He did that with The Last Dawn too.
Yeah, so
Look
like
that up. There's another.
What other-
It's actually a series, Last Dawn. Same writer as
Toy. I will say for Toy Story.
That's
for
fair.
kids.
Toy Story was a
Yeah.
great movie.
2 and 3 were great. I
Yeah.
hate 4.
Haven't seen it.
Don't watch it.
See, I got my kids on the Adam Sandler wagon through Happy Gilmore, and they loved it. And yeah, part
But
2.
what
I'm all in
22
for it.
Jump Street did a great job as a sequel because they also made fun of sequels.
Yeah, that was
Nice.
that was
They
a good
did a great
sequel.
job, just like do the
Deadpool
same
2.
thing,
Deadpool
but
2.
different. You know, like
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah,
but it's
so-
very hard for a sequel to do
but
well.
like if you look,
Anchorman, I don't think went well. I
No,
never
that
saw
one was
number
bad.
2, but people
like
ripped it.
honestly, I'm gonna
rough.
guess 95% of sequels are not as good. Like there's in the all the great movies. Would you say maybe even less than 5%?
But that's why they do it, because you gotta go, you gotta see.
That's right. But it doesn't like Dumb and Dumber 2 was awful.
God.
Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah, and so why do you? And they already had done a sequel with other people,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so then you wait. Look, the only sequel I want to see is Youngblood 2, and I have the perfect script. Sutton, who obviously is passed away, Patrick Swayze, his kid is now a hot shot player, and Dean Youngblood, Rob Lowe, is the coach of the Mustangs. So I would like to see that sequel, Rob Lowe, if you're watching. But I'm most
Rob
like
Lowe, big fan.
What do you mean?
He
if?
loves wearing the
Yeah.
Shield stuff, just like Dusty loves wearing the
does,
CFL
yeah.
Shield
I
stuff.
like Rob Lowe. I got a
They're
lot
all
of time for
connected.
him.
Yeah,
Kevin
Parks
Bacon.
and Rec was great.
Michael
when,
Keaton.
when he came out. So anyway, I'd say 5% of sequels
Yep.
are Major League 2 was not good. Like Major League was such.
Yeah.
Like I watched it the other day before the start of the baseball
Yeah.
season because it is such an awesome baseball movie. And then they made the sequel, and you're like, what? And then they made a third one.
I watched the third one because it was the AAA Back to the Minors.
Like,
Oh, I do like the third one.
Because it had the Salt Lake City buzz.
Yeah.
I
but
think.
like, what happens? Imagine if they went out and made Bull Durham too.
I know.
No way.
Yeah.
Like that is such a great movie on its own. Or
Young Guns 2 was okay.
Young Guns too. Is it Westerns? I think you
Yeah,
can get
you
away with it
can.
because it's a bit of
'Cause
a
they're all the same
historical
anyways.
story
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
right? There's a if you're following a historical story, okay, you
Right.
can maybe do a sequel, but
Don't do Tombstone too.
like what's
Leave that
yeah,
alone.
what's a
anybody still
sports movie where there's been a sequel that has been good? Like I can't
Mighty
think of.
Ducks.
D2 was great.
Okay.
That was a good
I was too
sequel.
old. I was too
I'll give
old.
Mighty Ducks, but that's for kids and stuff.
Like Air
If we're
Bud?
going real,
But I just can't think of any
What was
sports.
first? Did they start with
sequels.
basketball
Like,
and they went something
didn't
else?
they just make another White Man Can't Jump?
Yes.
Right.
And they just made another Roadhouse?
Like you can't make a
yes.
Hoosiers to.
Well,
no.
yeah, like it's.
So
So
what
you're
would
not making
you-
Moneyball 2.
No.
What would
No,
you
you're
do?
not.
Yeah, that's-
Tropical. No, what's the
Or draft.
what's the
Semi-pro. Draft day.
semi-pro? Could you do semi-pro too? That's something you could
That would
probably
be
do.
neat.
And
I
that
don't-
was a funny sports movie.
That was.
So I just think like I bet you now I'm going to say 3% of sequels are good.
You're whittling it down.
I'm
just
going
like
down, yeah.
Elks
No,
ownership.
they generally don't do well. Like
I'm whittling
No.
it down. Like I missed that.
Like
Like
Elks
Elks
ownership.
ownership.
oh
You
yeah,
went
that's
from
good. That's good.
20 to
yeah.
5.
Yeah, it's going to be down to 3 right away.
Barry the Cheater is saying not Space Jam 2. I haven't seen Space Jam 2 yet, but
I
I haven't
didn't
heard
mind
like it's not the
Space Jam.
same.
Oh, that's
but it's
the
not the
LeBron,
same
right?
level. Yeah.
No.
Is it
That's-
out?
Oh, it's
Yeah.
been out for like 4
Yeah.
years.
Oh, I did.
It's with LeBron.
Yeah, it's with LeBron.
Yeah.
I knew that,
they
but
did the great Michael B. Jordan bit that had me on the floor.
In Space Jam
Oh
2?
my God. Yes. I won't ruin it for
Okay.
you.
The
but
best sports movies for sequels are the boxing ones, Rockies and the Creeds.
Creed's great.
Creed's was
Yeah.
Creed.
excellent.
I
know
haven't
what?
seen 3 yet, but
3
2
was good.
I haven't
isn't it?
seen-
But 2 was great.
I haven't seen any
2
of the
was
Creeds
fantastic.
because I was going to watch the second one, but I didn't, and I could never find the first one for some reason, so I haven't watched it. But do you have to finish the Rocky
no,
series to
no,
be
they
able
do
to
a great
watch the
job.
Creed?
They do a great job of making
Yeah.
it.
Like, because I don't. The last Rocky movie I heard was really actually good. It was
Yes.
Yeah.
was a
After Rocky
different movie.
Balboa,
It should
Yeah.
be the Tommy Gun one.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
After the Tommy Gun one,
Yeah.
yeah. The latest one
5
where
was bad, and then it went to
she's
Rocky
passed,
Balboa.
Yeah.
I think that's how it
And
went.
totally redeemed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, the Creeds stand alone.
Yeah.
You don't
Absolutely.
have to have seen them.
Okay, good.
They do
And
a great job.
they're
But you're
good.
right.
I
Boxing
haven't seen
sequels
3,
are the
but
only.
2 was a way to end with Sylvester Stallone in it. And
Oh, he's not in 3. Okay.
I don't believe he's supposed to be, and I haven't seen 3, so I haven't seen how. And you say not that's good. But
$1 Million Baby would be a terrible sequel.
Yeah, well, yeah. Unless it was a prequel. See, that's how you
Right.
get around
You
it.
can
It's a
get around
prequel.
it that way,
You do a
yes.
prequel. That was a good. Boxing has had really
Yeah,
good movies,
man.
like Southpaw.
Yeah.
Like there has been.
it translates to the screen. I think
It
easier.
does, right? And I don't know if the some of the behind the scenes that I saw when Apollo Creed passed away.
Carl Weathers.
Carl Weathers passed away. Stallone put out footage of him and Carl Weathers doing the very first movie choreography. It was fast, man. I was seriously impressed.
You know why boxing movies are so good? Because they take all the good that is boxing and take out all the clutching
They
and
do. They
grabbing.
take
right?
all the garbage out.
Yeah.
Just
They
the
whittle it
haymakers.
down.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
whittle it down to like a 7-minute fight. It's like if you
Hagler
watched a
Kearns,
condensed
was it,
fight,
whatever it
right?
was? That's
a
all it
condensed
is.
fight.
That's right.
That's exactly
The
it.
clutching and grabbing killed it. Like,
It's- yeah.
what would Mike Tyson have been against all those big guys who just figured out, look, the
Just
only way I
hold
can
on.
survive is to grab on
Right,
with all
right,
my
right.
Quickly, I
all
don't want
my
to sidetrack too much from this. But
Final.
Tyson, Jake Paul.
Tyson.
The 20th.
Oh my
Tyson,
God.
100
Jake
days
Paul.
out of 100.
You know what? They're so far in cahoots, those two. This is just going to be
Okay,
a
let's
show.
say it's not in because I'm with you on that. Let's say it's a legit fight right now that they're
But
actually
Tyson
going
loves
for.
him. Tyson came out and said he is the kid has reinvigorated what boxing is now and found a new
Okay, but
money
is he,
train
if
and
they're
lifeline.
actually if Tyson goes not wanting to throw this, actually wants to win, who
If
wins?
it was real,
if this is a real fight.
Tyson wins every day.
I would not want
8
to take
days
a
a
punch
week.
from a 90-year-old Mike Tyson, let alone
Like,
Hear that,
almost
Trev?
60-year-old.
I saw a guy
Oh, he's
on
gone, I think.
Rich Eisen show. It was a boxing aspect. I forget the name. Pardon me. He said Jake Paul is going to win this in a heartbeat because Tyson is so. He said a boxing match, and maybe he has a point. It's the stamina that Mike Tyson. He's saying all these clips I'm seeing on Instagram are like 3, 4, 5 seconds long. Can he do a 90-minute round?
So,
Can he do 12 rounds or whatever it's going to be?
2-minute rounds, I think, not 3, is what
That
I
helps
saw.
Tyson then.
Also, though, it's like I don't think
Size
Tyson,
of the gloves will help Tyson.
is Tyson gonna be impacted by a Jake Paul punch.
Is Jake Paul going to, and I shouldn't say this, but is Jake Paul going to be able to get up after one punch?
Yes. If Tyson lands one, what happens?
That's what I mean.
Right? Like it's
Like
that's
this
where we go
this
through all
goes back
It's
to the
like,
Will
I don't
Smith
need all that.
song. I think I can beat Mike Tyson.
And it's
like that song and
just
Punch
because you
Out.
box doesn't mean you can take on one of the greatest boxers of all time.
Yeah,
even
exactly.
At 60.
He's waited until he's 58 years old. That's a loss right there, right? Like this kid wouldn't even have thought of this.
When Will
if Mike
Smith, when
Tyson
that
was still
song
an
came
animal.
out in whatever the 90s, the late 80s, whatever it was, we all said that. Would we take a punch from Mike Tyson? Back then it was for $1 million. Now it'd be you would have to give me $1 billion
No way, man.
because it's going to take that much to re-scramble my brain. I don't know if I would. Would you take a Tyson punch in the face? How much money would it take?
Boxers I know I wouldn't take a punch from, let alone.
And so that was the thing: is would you? We all played this game as kids. Like, would you take a punch? And this is Jake Paul living that.
Well, if this was Deontay Wilder getting set to take on Tyson, I'd take Wilder in a heartbeat. Because he's a trained heavyweight fighter.
For how long? He's trained for how long? Yeah.
And then that to me is where the age comes into this. Just because Jake Paul fights and has fought a couple of people doesn't also make him one of the greatest boxers of his generation.
But isn't that why you're going to watch?
Well, I wasn't going to, but it's YouTube Trev. Because he thinks Jake Paul has a chance, and I'm saying he doesn't have a chance.
That's what I mean.
So now it's because of people like that that are telling me that he's got a chance, and I'm like, now I'm going to watch this so I can be like, you're wrong.
YouTube Trev doesn't even know who Mike Tyson is, though. That's the thing.
What?
I'm being facetious, but like that his generation can't appreciate.
Because I also am like Jerry. I think that it's rigged.
Like,
I think this is either going to end in a draw or Jake Paul's going to win because Tyson's not trying because that's what's been agreed.
But this is the thing. I didn't see Muhammad Ali fight, but I could still watch on video and tell how dominant that guy could be. How does he not see Mike Tyson or the old Mike Tyson?
Because they say the age. The age is in this. And that's right. I'm just with Jake Paul. It's
the guy
just
has a tattoo on his face. I'm not going in the ring with him, man. He's like, there's no way. Like I think this is it's obviously it's a bit of a farce, but if this was at all serious, or like Kanisko, to take it back to Rocky, Kanisko the way of Thunder Lips and Rocky. Remember the Rocky 3 where he fought Hogan?
Yeah.
It was supposed to be if this is a bit of a joke, because I wouldn't put this past Mike Tyson. He gets caught and something goes off in his brain. So maybe it's supposed to be a joke, and Jake Paul accidentally catches it with him, and then something goes off in Mike's brain where he gets back into like, okay, this is whoever Peter McNeely in front of me, and I'm going to crush him now. What happens then? Like, does it turn into Thunder Lips Rocky?
I don't know. Mike Tyson can still throw combos that Jake Paul never even catch up to with his eyes. And you even watch some of their training stuff, and it's like, ooh, yeah, but how long can he last, and how much is he supposed to pull his punches on those?
Mike Tyson's fights usually lasted, 2 minutes?
Well, at the beginning, and then they started grabbing him, and
in the average, his fights in the beginning, he was knocking guys out in the first round. Like, it was like if you were going to watch Tyson, you had to be there at the beginning of the fight because you had no idea. And then the Holyfield ear thing, that happened fast again.
He was over the hill.
But it's like
anyways.
Everything with Tyson happens quickly. So I wouldn't be surprised. Now this one,
this won't be an early.
This won't be an early one because
they're doing a show.
They want to do a show.
Just like Mayweather McGregor. Mayweather toyed with McGregor.
But I want Thunder Lips to happen. I want to see a Thunder Lips.
Netflix has a contract about how long this has to last at least.
Oh, right? Probably.
It's not going to be a 30-second.
Yeah.
I want to see Mike Tyson, what he looks like right now.
It's just seeing the clips and stuff. Like he still looks there, and then maybe
fast.
to that one boxer analyst thing it's not a full 2-minute video. So stamina, but that's where I go back
rounds,
to Jake Paul though isn't that full on legit boxer right now of his generation. And you give me I don't know all the boxers in boxing right now, even at non-heavyweights type thing. If you give me some of those guys, I would give them a chance against Tyson. Because
those other guys,
because they're at the top of right now.
And
Logan Paul isn't, or Jake Paul isn't that right now. What's going to happen? Logan Paul's going to come with the fan and lift up.
Jake's going to want to get
Come out from under the ring.
as big, yeah, exactly, as big as
It's gonna be
gloves as
some horror.
possible.
And then it's going to be the weirdest thing
If
ever.
Tyson gets smaller gloves, then this thing it could get out of hand, man.
Yeah.
Like the
But
bigger
Tyson
glove.
has to want to go do that.
The gloves
And
only
that's your
protect
point.
your
Well,
hands,
something
right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I
Okay,
would
he's gonna
not.
kill this Jake Paul.
yeah,
I'm watching
nuts,
this.
That's the thing.
He's gonna kill
He's
this kid.
so fast
Yeah.
still, and one punch is gonna like it's literally gonna be like Mike. Did you ever get to Tyson and Mike Tyson's punch out?
I've beat it 3 times in my life.
I've
and
never-
nobody could be in the room with me watching. They had to be on the
No,
other side
I've
of the
never
door.
done it. Because one punch from Mike Tyson in that game sends little Mac back into the ropes, and one punch in this fight is going to do the same with
How
Jake
great
Paul.
was the meme with the Glass Joe
yeah.
and Mike
So
Tyson?
good,
It's
yeah.
like,
So good.
Love it.
That was seriously like. There's been some good boxing video games. That was probably my favorite video game growing
Guaranteed.
up. And I never could beat Mike Tyson.
Guaranteed.
This is the EST Hangout presented by White Claw, the hard seltzer that started the wave, made with refreshingly real flavors for their iconic taste. White Claw, the difference is clear. Iwanyk, Tom Gazzola with you here, alongside Gerry Moddejonge from Postmedia, Millard from For Vengeance Media. You're tuned into iHeartRadio, tune in, EdmontonSportsTalk.com, as well as YouTube. Time now for our keyword for the EST FlyAway to Las Vegas, where we're giving away a trip for 2 to Vegas, 2 nonstop flights, 3 nights accommodations, tickets to Cirque du Soleil, presented by FlyAway and the LVCVA. Nonstop flights to over 50 destinations. Your sports trip starts with a nonstop flight from FlyAway. Visit flywayg.com for more information. Get your phones
stuff's
out and get
getting
ready to
crazy.
text in the keyword to 780-218-9999. Almost at 10 till 60 right there.
Ah.
780-218-9999.
That's
I didn't do it though. What you want to text today? This actually it works out perfect for our conversation earlier. Posse. Text Posse to 780-218-9999. The Las Vegas Posse of the Canadian Football League from 1 or 2 seasons. I can't remember how many
One, I
seasons
think
it was.
they
Was it
played.
one?
Yeah.
Worst anthem you'll hear of
That's what I was
Canadian.
going to say. Wasn't that the
Greg
old Christmas tree?
Bartholomew.
Who was it?
Greg Bartholomew.
Greg Bartholomew singing "Oh
Christmas
Canada."
tree.
I think their last game, if I'm not mistaken, might have been in Edmonton.
They had to move it.
I think there was a home game in Edmonton, like a Vegas home game being played in Edmonton,
Yes.
because it was done.
Yeah.
And then all the players just raided the equipment after the
Yeah.
game and took a bunch of things. But 780-218-9999, not in the nasty chat. Text this Posse right now for your chance to get into the draw for the EST Flyaway to Las Vegas, thanks to FlyAway, the Edmonton International Airport, and the LVCVA. Zacticum will get a hold of someone in the next 5 minutes. So keep your phone on because we'll talk to you on the air if you're the qualifier. So to qualify, you got to pick up your phone in 5 minutes. We'll talk to someone. Posse to 780-218-9999. There's your keyword for today on the Hangout for the EST Flyaway.
Hey, so I showed Dino and Gerry the Mike Tyson training video, and they have like a comparison with Logan Paul or Jake Paul, whatever, one of those dum-dums he's fighting. And then the video above it was like from the early 2000s or late 90s, and it was P. Diddy and Mike Tyson. And
On
Tyson,
Arsenio Hall.
On Arsenio Hall, Tyson like lifts up P. Diddy's hand and like gets it away because it was like very.
If P. Diddy was like had his hand over here
Yeah,
like
and
this,
he's
Tyson
like,
picks up his
you have
hand
to
and
move your
moves
hand,
it.
and he like adjusts. This crap is
All
getting
this
crazy,
stuff,
man.
it's everything. Like it's like, you know what? This is a terrible comparison, but when things happen, and like I'll go back to 9/11 when that happened, I could not stop watching it on TV.
Yeah.
And I don't care. I'm not a P. Diddy fan or anything. I just cannot. Every time I see something as I'm scrolling, I've got to read it. I got to see it because who's being sucked into this vortex now and all these things, and like I don't know who the next person that's going to be brought. It's wild, man. This is a crazy story.
Didn't Belzy show us a video of Bieber when he was younger? Was that
You guys were talking about it.
Yeah, like Bieber gets really awkward and kind of doesn't
Yeah.
want to talk about P. Diddy, and it was when he was still a
He
teenager.
was stuttering, yeah.
Yeah.
And then there was another one with Usher and P. Diddy talking about how they would wake up when Usher was 10 years old and be wrestling together. And people are like, why is Usher as a 10-year-old? Now, I'm not saying, but this is the questions. And then there was a clip on Howard Stern where he said, P. Diddy or somebody, you went to like some sort of camp that P. Diddy used to have, like Puff Camp or something like that in the summer as a kid. I'm like, this is getting wild. And Usher's like, yeah, I went to that camp. And you could tell, like, he's smiling, but it's like, there's some crazy stuff going on, man.
Dudes, I still can't even get
Like
over
Suge Knight sending voicemail to P. Diddy from jail, telling him people are coming to kill you. And when you get to jail, this is what you should do and all this. Like, it's weird.
I still can't get over Bill Cosby. I'm still back there. Like,
yeah.
The
people that you think you can
on.
trust. Like, don't ever, that's why I say this to people, and you've been around enough actual teams. Don't ever let your kids look up to athletes or actors or musicians that you do not know.
Yeah.
Right? Because Bill Cosby was the all-American dad.
Yeah.
And so it's the same with athletes.
Well, in sports,
There's a great athlete that you look on TV and they could be great, and then they could be the absolute dirtbag off the ice or court or field.
Meanwhile, Richard Pryor's out there doing the filthiest stand-up in the world, and he's
Murphy.
He's a saint compared to
Eddie Murphy is getting
Cosby.
calls from Bill Cosby. The famous bit in Raw, and Delirious came out and he did the Bill Cosby, and then Bill Cosby phoned him and complained. Meanwhile, Bill Cosby is roofying everybody, and then the best thing is Eddie Murphy went out and just like blasted him in Delirious and did the Richard Pryor thing, and it's wild. Don't let people look up to athletes, because we've known enough athletes to think, wow, they're great on the field and great on camera, and they are terrible.
But there's enough stories that have also just blown up. Lance Armstrong is the biggest,
Right? But people still
Like,
do
there's-
it. Look at the amount of NFL. Look at like the things that Tyreek Hill and the different players in the NFL that have been suspended or arrested for
You don't know the
things.
people. You see them on
You
the
don't.
field,
You
and
have no
see
idea.
what they're, and you love what you're. It's like, look, I don't want to be Ray Lewis. I love Ray Lewis as a footballer. He's one of my favorite football players. Great middle linebacker. I'm not going to sit here and say that's
Killed the
he
guy.
ended up human being. I don't believe he did.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, yes.
But that's the
I
thing
think he
is,
knows who did at the very least, and he may have he may have set
Don't
the
meet
order
your
type
idols.
thing.
Do
But
not
it's
meet
one
your
of those
idols.
where it's like, I still love Ray Lewis as a football player. I could separate the two on that.
Here's the question, and I love Mike Tyson as a boxer, not
But
as
he's
a human being. When
but he's
young.
also
He's a piece of
become a
crap.
better person.
He has spent his whole life learning how to.
Say with
be a
Michael
human
Vick.
being.
Like I will let people redeem themselves a little
That's
bit. If you don't learn or
If you have
whatever,
remorse.
that's Michael Vick, Mike
If you have
Tyson, these
contrition.
people, Ryan Leaf. Like look at Ryan Leaf who tweeted today. 12 years ago today, I woke up on the floor of a jail cell, not thinking I had any life, and now he's got 2 children, a beautiful wife. He redeemed himself, and he did it in the right way. There are people that don't do that people still look up to, and I'm like, how?
and there are good athletes out there.
Of course,
Don't get
yes.
us wrong. But
there
here's
are good and bad plumbers out there,
true.
right?
Here's the question. Are there more bad ones now, or are we just finding out about it now because there's more access to video clips and
we're hearing
stories?
more, and there's everybody has a
people
camera.
are getting out there with their stories now.
Listen, I think that, I don't think sports is any different than any other walk of life. There's probably just as many good people as there are bad people.
I would say one difference is kids don't look up to plumbers unless they're their dad
True,
or something.
that's true.
So
That's
there
true.
should be more on the shoulders of our professional athletes.
I'm saying there are. I'm just saying in general, in the sports field, I'm guessing there's just as many
All
bad
still human
people
beings, yeah.
as good people. But you're right.
Yeah.
You have more if you are in the public eye, whether you're a politician or a media person. Like
Well-
I was at Global Television, and we had standards that we had to live up to outside of our hours at work. Why? Because people falsely, they're on TV. They look at it's just the same thing.
Yeah.
There's dirtbags in media too, right?
One of those groups is supposed to lie for a living. One of those is supposed to
That's
tell
right.
the truth.
Yeah,
for a
exactly.
living,
Yeah.
so.
But if you're in the public eye, you have a bigger responsibility, I think, to be that person.
All right, I'm going to get the qualifier on the air right over here. And then I have a
geez.
question for
Here's
all
an
you guys
outstanding
after.
young man. Great haircut.
That's Zacticum.
Yeah.
We should say who it is that we're dealing with on that one too.
Sorry, it's Zacticum.
I just assumed.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah.
It could have been YouTube Trev. And
Yeah, that's
But again,
fair.
he's not here.
Good point.
Oh, it just shots fired. Shots fired. I don't know if anyone heard that.
Doesn't have a
does
great
not have
haircut.
Trev doesn't have good hair.
Love it.
Oh, great hair actually were the word. So that's
Zach to come throwing darts, man.
Wow. We got a
Don't hold
qualifier.
back. You walk in this door.
Yeah.
So we've got Colin on the line. Congratulations, Colin. You are a qualifier for the EST FlyAway here on the Hangouts. Have you ever been to Las Vegas before?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes, you have. What's your favorite thing to do when you're in Vegas?
Racetrack.
Racetrack.
Driving race cars.
Oh, you like racing?
Spring-
Like you go, pay for a sports car or something and race around the track?
Yeah, I go to Spring Mountain and you can drive Corvettes and whatnot.
Oh, sweet. That sounds like a great time. Now, with the winner of this trip, they get, within 2 months, they got a book. They could travel within a year. What would be the ideal time for you to head off to Las Vegas?
Sooner the better.
Sooner the better. Love that, Colin. Well, congratulations. You're in the draw. Keep your phone on April 26th during the morning show, because if you're the winner, the boys will give you a call, let you know that you're off to Vegas.
Awesome. Thank you.
And there's Colin, our qualifier today for the EST FlyAway. Your next chance to qualify coming up on the Lock Shop with Dusty and Huss. Colin was pretty excited
Nice.
about that
Congrats,
one.
Colin.
So, yes, you can be qualifying until April 25th, April 26th in the morning show. We'll do the grand prize draw sometime between 7 and 8 in the morning. So it'll be great. Gerry, I'll fill him in after on this question when he gets back here. Is there an athlete, like I'm very cynical, so there's not a lot for me, but there's one for that I have an answer for this, just one. Is there an athlete that would crush you if something came out about them, whether they cheated in sports or something? Is there still one out there for you that would hurt? Because I've got Usain Bolt. If I ever find out he
That's a good
took
one.
roids, like I'm not surprised basically for anyone nowadays.
Yeah.
I've seen enough. If something ever comes out that he did something,
Gordie
I
Howe.
would be crushed.
Gordie Howe, Bobby Orr. Those guys are supposed to be like the creme de la creme.
Uh-huh.
So if anything ever came out about them, I would just be like, damn it, man, come on. But anyone else, no, not really.
Yeah, I don't really think. I think I'm so cynical now that, like, I said this. I don't think it's a great idea to meet your idols. Like, I've had some favorite players of mine that I've met, and I'm like,
I've had one time the reverse of that, and it was Doug Waite. When I met him, I'm like, you've lived up to everything I hoped you would.
Oh
be.
yeah, and there's
Yeah.
certainly been some different guys the opposite way,
It's
because
hit
they go
miss.
in cynically. But like I've met some of my favorite players, and I'm like, man,
Almost wish you had
almost wish I didn't a little bit. I don't know if there is a. I'll say this: if something ever came out about like Vin Scully, I would say who's passed on now. That's probably like I've gone from favorite players to morphed into like different broadcasters. Like Oral Hershiser was my favorite player of all time. I guess if something came out about him, I would be a little bit disappointed. More so, 8-year-old Dean would be disappointed. 48-year-old Dean is like, yeah. After that guy, man,
Tiger Woods.
After Tiger Woods happened, there is nobody that I would be like, wow, that really surprises me.
Well, like Shohei Ohtani thing comes up, and I wasn't one like, oh, really? Like,
Me neither,
I'm stunned.
man.
Like, it was just like, okay, we're dealing with this.
Like we
Yeah,
are,
here
we
we
are
are.
so desensitized.
Yes.
The stuff I read about Tiger Woods has desensitized me to pretty much almost like I'm trying to think of the last thing that I read about that I was like, I can't believe this is. Maybe it's this P Diddy stuff that's going on that I don't know about, but that might be the guy that broke me.
And I've just seen so many athletes cheat that now it's like I wouldn't be stunned if any athlete came out and it was they cheating. Is there an athlete for you that would stun you or hurt you in a way that it came out that they
Cal Ripken.
cheated without one?
Yep. That would hurt.
Yeah.
That would hurt.
Junior or
big time.
senior?
Oh, I love it. That to me, I mean, you're not supposed to meet your heroes, but I would love to. I mean,
Yeah, and that's a guy that I probably think would be pretty memorable meeting. There are some people that I think I'd like to meet, but then like I've done it, and it's just You know, but that's not to say that everybody is like that. And listen, sometimes you catch people on bad days too, right?
Yeah,
like
true.
it's.
But that's our own fault too for building these people and putting them up on a pedestal.
And that's
in the
why I
first
say,
place.
do not do that.
Yeah.
If you have kids, don't let them. Let them be in awe of the skill, but don't let them be your measure of what you want to live up to, because you have no idea what they're like away from that microphone.
What would young Jerry's bedroom have looked like without that Michael Jordan poster on the wall? Right?
No, I'm not saying you can't have posters on your wall.
But
I'm just
that's kinda
saying.
what-
But even athleticism, likewise, like if they cheated, it would crush.
I'm just saying,
like,
don't
hurt.
try to.
And I said Usain Bolt.
If you
I would
want to be,
devastated.
Absolutely.
If
Good
I
call.
watched those 100 meters and go, he cheated at that time, I would be hurt.
if you want to
He's
be like
Ben
Michael
Johnson.
Jordan on court, that's fine. But don't pretend to know what Michael Jordan is off court. That's all I'm saying. And look at Michael Jordan. He got into gambling, and obviously some. It's not the
Great
worst
baseball
thing,
career.
right? But I'm just saying, don't look up to somebody you don't know in that way. Not a martyr or a model or somebody like that you want to look up to should be somebody you know.
You want to mix, I think, at least. If your kid's going to idolize Connor McDavid, make sure that they also idolize someone else, too. Or, like, have that other hero that.
Yeah, idolize
more
Connor
realistic.
McDavid, what he does
'Cause
on the
it's hard
ice.
to stop him, like, from loving Connor.
Yeah, on the ice,
Because you
that's
can't
fine.
actually have that full sit down and be like, well, he could be a bad person.
Love that. That's what I'm saying, though. Love
he's
that
not.
skill.
No, I know, but, like, you can't.
Love that skill.
try to balance it.
And push your kids for mentorship to people that you know. Or at least you think we know. Maybe we don't know anybody anymore, really.
I don't know. I think kids will have their own ideas of what's going on and who's who. And if those dreams get smashed or whatever, that vision gets smashed, that's life. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Unfortunately.
disappointing sometimes.
It is. Nate the Builder texts in Jerome Aginla, 100% beauty and fantastic
Nice.
person.
Good call.
That's a good one.
Here, I have a funny story about Jerome. I was watching his son Joe in a tournament 2 years ago. Joe scored 5 goals. Probably could have had 7 or 8. He was picking top corners all the time. Not once when Joe came off the ice did Jerome go down and give him like a, hey, good job, because he knows probably how privileged Joe has been. And then the coaches picked the player of the game, and he did not pick. Like, his kid scored 5 goals, was the best player in the game. But Jerome, and I thought, this is a sign of a guy who is trying to show his kid that he needs to be probably just like, not that he needs to, but that he should be just like the rest of the players, right? And trying to make him not stand out. And I thought, that's kind of an interesting way as a coach.
Maybe he needed to dish around more assists. Maybe this is what Connor McDavid's going through this year
Right,
after
exactly,
cleaning up
yeah.
on the hardware last year. He's like, I got to spread this around a bit.
Portions of this hour of the EST Hangout are presented by the Ranch Golf and Country Club, offering premier conditions, top-notch service, unmatched value. They are the choice for your first round of the season. I know that on their Twitter page right now, they're doing a Guess the First Day contest, as they usually do. 6 degrees in Edmonton right now for a high of 11. 21
go.
tomorrow, Wednesday 11, Thursday 6, Friday 5, chance of snow
Welcome
or
to
rain.
spring.
Saturday 8, Sunday 12,
Is this supposed to be like 24 tomorrow?
Yeah.
21 as of right now.
Damn.
Masters is next weekend.
Damn. Let's go.
This is the-
people are going to be able to golf before Masters, I think, this year.
This is what I was-
I'm gonna throw that out there.
Yeah.
You'll want to get to the ranch for that one. I'm putting Murray on the spot and the whole people out at the ranch on the spot for that. But I'm looking at that forecast, and I'm not seeing a lot of snow
That's
out there.
nice.
We should all be golfing. Well, not me, but everyone else should be golfing really soon.
Well, if you're Rashad, you build a simulator in your garage and you don't even have cars in there anymore.
Because the right time to build a golf sim is right as a golf season is about to begin.
Nobody said his method wasn't flawed.
Right as you're about to go outside and golf for real, that's when you build the indoor sim.
I loved it. He was on this morning for the mandate, but then at the game on Saturday, we're watching the game. Obviously, it's a runaway, and then he just like throws his phone to me. He's like, "Have a look at that," and I see, and it's him just hitting in the simulator. I'm like, "You son of a bitch, you did it! You got all the toys. You have all." I'm like, "But where do your cars go?" He goes, "Oh, they don't go inside anymore."
My buddy Kyle's building one. He's gonna have it going by later this summer, I think. He's taking his time with it. My dream is one day if I get a house is to put a legit golf sim.
Oh,
like
I
full
know a couple
pay
of dudes.
for it. Like,
Yeah.
I would
like
just
the
get
25, 30 grand, making
TrackMan.
sure it all is done perfectly.
Yeah.
And
You know
it's
what
just like
would
the
be
best
better
spot.
for
You
your
have to
golf
take the
game?
ceiling tiles.
It won't be here. It won't be
Should
here.
be here.
It's going to my house.
No, it should be
Put
here.
a green in your backyard.
That'd be awesome.
That'll be the best thing for your game because that's where you lose the most amount of strokes.
Yeah, but
You know,
I
I'm a
would
three-putt
get
master.
bored, I think, by putting the same hole over and over and over.
Put the greens that they can put in, you can contour it, move it around. I'm telling you, that's the thing. I would love to have a chipping if I had a backyard, chipping and putting area.
The chipping would be the thing. Yeah, and then the thing with the
little,
Sims is
little bunker, and you
Yeah.
skull one through the window every once in a while. Sorry, Trish.
the Sims
Sorry,
suck
Alan.
for putting and the chip shot.
Yeah,
They're not there.
The
But I
short
don't-
game. That's where you lose
this-
all the strokes in your game.
Very
Is
true.
short
But-
game.
It'd take like an hour to do 18 holes every day, waking up and quickly getting an 18 in the
you do
winter.
today?
And then
Play
when
the
you get
winter.
to the
Minus
summer,
40.
No.
you're gonna 3-putt every green.
Nah, see, actually, one of my best years kind of was after a winter of sim. I did it like every 2 weeks, but like because you keep your swing going, you don't lose it. You don't have that time to start the year going, "Where's my swing?" and trying to figure it all out.
I need to figure it all out. Andrea says Triple Creek by Millet is open today.
That's a great course.
What is it? I've never heard that one.
Today.
That's a great course.
Wow. Chris from Red Deer chiming in. For me, when I was a kid, it was Ben Johnson. I was
Yeah.
so excited and then so crushed.
I was
Oh.
too. Like me and my buddy watched that race on a black and white TV in our camper, and then like what was it? 4 days later, I can't remember. I was just like, before the days of social media, you flip on. I think CBC broke it. Oh, it was the Olympics, all right. So, but that was the first biggest probably heartbreak for
Yeah.
me of being like, what? Somebody cheated? Like Gretzky getting traded was like,
Sold.
oh yeah, it was like, oh wow. This was like, hey, we were number one. They beat Carl Lewis, who was cheating the whole time anyway, and then it was stripped. Like that was the first for me, the first black eye I remember for a Canadian sport, and the first time I was really disappointed. I don't even think I understood what I was disappointed about. I was just sad that this happened. That's a great
Yeah, man.
first
That one stands
disappointment
out.
for a lot of Canadians because we were on top of the world for 4 days.
There's not a lot that just transcends the world. Like it is matters.
Like
World's
it's-
fastest man.
When Donovan
Heavyweight
Bailey
champion of the world, those matter.
Yeah, like so it was Carl Lewis, Ben Johnson, and we all knew Carl Lewis was cheating anyway. We never got caught. And then when Michael Johnson and Donovan Bailey happened, I think Canadians wanted it even more than they wanted Ben Johnson because we got robbed of Ben Johnson, even though the other guy was cheating too. We're not going to get robbed of this one. And I think all of Canada was happy when he called him a chicken. Remember in that race at Skydome?
The
And
150.
The 150, and he
Because
pulled
Bob
up.
Costas said called him the world champ because he had a faster 100, but in the second 100 of a 200 meter.
200 meter.
And so they had to do that race.
So,
And Donovan
and then
Bailey destroyed
Johnson
him.
pulled
was
up
awesome.
and he said he's a chicken. And it was like, you know what? Wow, a Canadian. The last time I heard a Canadian talk like that was Esposito in 72. And I wasn't even alive, but watching the clips back where he's like, the fans, like he really got after it. You do not see Canadians.
We don't puff out our chest that
Gretzky
much.
in 02 at the Salt Lake City Olympics, when he took all the pressure off the team,
went out after
crock
the
of crap
refs
was
and
his
stuff.
famous line,
Yeah.
and he went after the Czechs for their dirty play because they all want to hit Canadian. So those are like the few times a Canadian gets up on his soapbox and says, hey, this is us. And I loved when Donovan Bailey did it. I loved when Gretzky did it because I don't think we do it enough as Canadians. We're so humble, and that's our thing. But we're good at a lot of things, and I think we can pound our chest every once in a while. Not as much as the red, white, and blue down in the States, but I think
Yeah.
we can a
We'll
little
never
bit more.
match them.
Well, nobody
We'll
will.
never match them
What
with that
country
stuff.
will ever match the United
USA.
States for any of that stuff? Nobody.
For pumping their
Their
chest.
passion for sports is off the charts. And you know what? You can tell me all you want about European soccer.
It's better than the U.S. sports.
There's not a tailgate system anywhere
No, 'cause they're at the
in
pub.
the world. Okay,
they're
that's
at the
fine.
pub outside
It's
the
not as
stadium
good
next door.
I don't think it's as good.
Have
I
you
think
gone
the
to it?
U.S. No, I haven't
you
been to
can't
either.
claim it.
I haven't been to either of them. I'm looking at one and saying I think it's better than the other.
Well, until you've experienced both, you really can't go into that.
Why? I can say on what I think I would want to do more.
Sure,
I would want to
but-
be at a tailgate with a barbecue than a pub.
I think both have their benefits.
No, I said but I think one I prefer more than the other.
Fair, okay, for personal preference and stuff.
Like I don't see anybody jumping off onto tables like Buffalo Bills fans in a pub. Not saying that's I
I'm sure
condone
it
it.
happens.
Well,
I'm not saying I condone
That's
it. But
because sometimes the ultras are beating the other team's ultras up in the middle of the streets in Europe.
That stuff is messed up, dude.
Like it's, if I
crazy.
want to go
It's
full,
just-
like they take their passion to another level.
I'm
and
sorry,
I'm sorry,
I think I would put
soccer,
U.S. up against anybody.
because also with soccer,
You can't.
like here's
you
the thing
can't-
about soccer,
You're
though.
bringing
Here's
in
the passion of this.
hooliganism into it.
That's
That is
part of
weird.
it. I can't take that away. I can't not bring that up. But
Like, nobody's getting suplexed in a tailgate.
Week, okay, like the Jaguars go on the road to Seattle. How many Jags fans are traveling? Seattle.
7.
I would say a lot. Any match happens middle of the week. One team going to another city. There's a massive amount of traveling.
Yeah, because they're
supporters.
trying to loot them.
No, because they go travel. That's what they
Also,
do.
less
They work.
distance.
It could be, but like they
Yeah.
have to go through Europe and stuff.
Yeah, they
still
could
too.
jump on a train for
And it's-
45 minutes.
Well, some of those games in the U.S. can be relatively close, and like they will
Jaguar
stick
to Seattle?
middle of
That
the
was the
okay, that was the
example you
example.
used.
Okay, but okay, Jaguars to Baltimore.
Yeah, I bet you there'd be a lot of Jaguar fans
I wouldn't say there's a
traveling.
lot. I don't think there's a way section designed for Jaguar fans.
I don't know. Look
in
at when the
Baltimore.
Chargers were in San Diego.
Arsenal goes
visiting
to
fans
Bayern
filled
Munich,
their stadium.
and you're gonna have a bunch of Arsenal fans in Germany watching
you
that
ever
game on a Tuesday or a Wednesday.
That happened all the time to the Chargers. Visiting fans would fill their stadium.
Because you're going to LA, it's 20,000 seats in that stadium, but it's not, and not every like you have away supporter sections at all soccer matches overseas.
Yeah.
Where
That's because they'd get
even in-
stabbed if they were at the other hooligans.
No, but because there's that many people that go.
Could you imagine going and getting stuck in the I can't wear my visiting jersey section?
Ooh.
With the Clippers. Yeah. No, and that's what Ballmer's trying to do there is
Yeah.
make the
That's
soccer
home court.
atmosphere.
Absolutely.
Yeah, create
No,
soccer.
you're right.
Bring soccer to this, where the passion comes from.
Is that
Where
the
does
worst
college
idea?
Football? No, it's
No,
not.
no.
That's my point. Is it's soccer.
I
That's
still
where the
think-
passion is.
I still
they
think-
go middle of the week, just head off to another country
Yeah.
to go watch their team and go to the pub and get drunk to come back to work for the middle of the week, knowing that they have another game on the weekend.
Give me Americans over everybody when it comes to passion for sports. I just think American, and I'm not saying like, I wish we would have some of that here.
Yeah.
Like they don't even
That's
like
true.
even just like this goes even to hockey in Europe. Their chants that they do and the flags that they're going, the atmosphere,
Yeah.
is significantly better than what you're getting here in North America,
Yeah, but
even in the U.S.
No, it's not. You go to a college game.
At college now, so it's only college,
Right, but you go to a college game in the States and there's chants, there's bands, there's cheerleaders, there's everything. College hockey. High school. We used to go down to the States to play high school hockey.
But they do it
and
in
we'd be
all sports.
Why the hell are there cheerleaders on the ice? Like
But they do it in
saying.
basketball and hockey
That's
and
what I'm
soccer
saying.
overseas. Here, it's only in college sports. We don't do it in the NBA. We don't do it in the NFL. We don't do it in Major League Baseball. We don't do it in the NHL.
Right, because it's a college thing. That's because it.
But in the
that's
U.S., in Europe, they do it everywhere.
Yeah.
For all of theirs. That's where the passion comes from for them, that they could take it to all of them.
because they're too busy tailgating.
The Europeans are in the pubs.
No,
And a
that's
pub
fine.
that's been around since 1800.
I'll take
They're just
the
in there getting
Americans.
trash, drinking Guinness.
I'll take the Americans and the spending and the passion and the tailgate, all of that. I wish we had more of it here. I wish there was more of a celebration. And I know they have started it a little bit in the CFL. They finally come on,
It's going to be so much better.
How long did it how could it have taken so long to figure that out?
To figure out that football is more than just about what happens on the
and
field.
all sports,
it's all
right?
day, man.
Every sports, I'll tell you, we're building. They're building an arena in Spruce Grove for the Saints,
Yeah.
right? We just built an arena, Silent Ice Center for kids. We are slowly starting to realize that even at junior levels, it's not always about the game. It's now about the experience. You can't just think the hockey or the football or the basketball is going to bring you in anymore. You got to have something else.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. It's our our attention spans or whatever it is. That's why we like. Do you watch TV with your phone? I watch 2 TVs at once at home. I'm just like I'm at that's probably because I had to do it for so long.
Yeah.
At Global that you get used to it. That now if I'm watching one game, I start getting a little bit wanting to do something else. I think that's just why people are like, we got to do more than just the game at a stadium. That's why Ballmer's putting in all these different, every seat has a charger on the.
Do you know where that doesn't happen? In Europe. in their stadiums, which have like Old Trafford for Manchester United has no amenities because they're there just to go watch the soccer.
Yeah.
Don't they like pee in their seats?
It's so
and stuff
gross,
like that?
man.
Don't think so.
I hope not.
That's so disgusting.
I've heard a story. Yeah, it is disgusting. Although I have seen it at
Like
a football
old
game.
stadiums are fine if I went there once. I would not want to be a fan of a team that has a crappy stadium.
I went to the old.
Like I think it's neat to visit nostalgia wise. I would not want to go to whatever. Like if I was I'm just trying to think. Like I've heard some crazy gross stuff about Fenway Park.
It's nice.
I was at the Rose Bowl.
I like it.
Yeah, I've heard
The
some
Rose
gross
Bowl
stuff about.
does not have the greatest amenities. They've got a nice concession. I'll go mad. You're there to watch sports, and I love the hell out of it when I was there. Because that's all you're there for.
You're in the minority now.
No, I know.
Unfortunately,
they want to talk about maybe moving the Rose Bowl away from there because there's too many people. Like, there's not enough for some people. But all people do is stand and watch the game because you have nothing else to do. You're there for the game. And there's to me that I love that as sports because that's the point of sports.
I like that. And college fans,
March Madness sucks me in every year.
Yeah.
Like I watch my Duke. I'm pissed off with Duke. Don't want to get into it full a year. But like it's a few times a year that's when I could put my phone down. That's when I don't switch my TV. I could watch a full Duke game during March Madness and go possession by possession by possession.
See, I think college sports are like that. I think true sports fans go to college sports. Business people a lot of times go to professional sports. I mean, you look at Leaf games and different things like that, right?
Which takes away from the community of it.
That's right. So, but that's what I think the college sports has that community, and you get the dad and the kid going to the game. Because some places they can afford it, although I'm sure college tickets in some places are expensive. But it's like, hey, I went to this game with my dad, and we're gonna go. Well, if you go to the pro level, some CEO has those seats maybe, and they're too expensive or whatever. So I think that's where you do get the true I'm here for the game is at college sports. Where pro sports, it's like, hey, I'm taking my client.
I think it's the difference between like Yankees Mets almost. Even as a Yankee fan, Yankees it's a status you want to be seeing the Yankee games. Kind of the real fans are at the Mets games in a sense.
Yeah.
Unless you're in the bleachers of Yankee Stadium. That's where the real Yankee fans
like I
are.
booked a trip to go to LA. I'm going to see the Dodgers at Dodger Stadium for the first time. And me and my buddy were like, this is great. We got 3 games. We're going to spend a little bit on home plate. Then we're going to sit in the outfield in the cheap seats. Like you can find ridiculously cheap tickets for baseball games. You cannot find ridiculously cheap tickets for an Oilers game.
But that's a byproduct of 81 home games and a 40,000 plus
and
stadium.
bigger stadiums. That's what I mean. So like the baseball,
trying to balance that out.
You can be still a true fan. You can go there. You can sit up in your cheap seats and whatever it is and watch the game.
And baseball baseball have 1 p.m.
Yeah,
game
you're
times,
right. Yeah. It's hard to do that in even in the NBA probably. NFL like fewer
NFL
games.
can do whatever they want. The NFL will go to a 7-day.
Do you know the NFL?
I believe
I was
that
just
strongly.
reading had an average of 28.4 million viewers for their Christmas Day games last year, where the NBA had like 2.8. Like the NFL is now going to take over Christmas Day from the NBA, and that was the NBA's hold for a long time, and the NFL's like, thanks, it's coming over to us now.
They've already taken Sunday over from the church, right?
Yeah, that's right.
But that's right. Why don't they go 7 days a week?
They're going to.
They've got, instead of clustering it all in 2, 3, 4 days now, and it keeps growing. Spread it out.
This season will go probably to 18 weeks one day. Or 8, and they'll spread it out over an extra month, the regular season, to deal with bye weeks and stuff.
But like
and we'll have 1 or 2 games per day, and it'll go throughout, and then we'll get to the playoffs, and we'll just do it on weekends.
But they used to be
and
they
we'll love the hell of
couldn't
it,
play.
and they'll go till March.
They
wouldn't
couldn't
hate
play
that.
on Fridays or Saturdays. Like there was a law that Congress brought in because they wanted to keep high school and college sports.
Like they pissed off college football because this year they did the Friday
the Amazon game, wasn't
Thanksgiving game.
Yeah.
And that it was always Thanksgiving. Thursday was the NFL's.
Yep.
Fridays was college.
Yeah.
And they finally went in with we're going to take Friday too.
That's
and it pissed them off.
That's gonna be a tough scheduling.
Like, I'm
challenge, 'cause
telling you,
you're
the
gonna
NFL
get teams that play.
You're gonna have the team that's
you
off for
can't-
10 days, the team that's off for 6 days.
gonna be hard. Yeah.
But that's where it's gonna be spaced out, and it will be like they'll have to expand
They might
probably
have
the
to
season
increase
a year, a
rosters
month.
as well.
But they'll do that
bulletproof.
because they will get 20 million
Of course
plus
they will.
per game.
Of course.
The
Per
only
game.
the only thing that I think would ever potentially bring the NFL down is what happened, and I've said this before, that last Boy Scout movie, Bruce Willis and Damon Wayans. The guy pulls out a gun as he's running down
Opening
the
scene,
field
yeah.
and shoots a person. Like, somebody killing somebody on the field might be the only thing, because the NFL has survived everything. Like, they are Teflon.
At this point, that would just up the hype in my mind.
You think so?
Yeah.
Hey, like,
Oh, jeez.
it would just help. Like, oh my god, I just like seriously, they have done so many things wrong,
Yeah.
and just they're bulletproof, man. I do not know if there's anything that could bring.
Maybe,
Like, the NFL is like soccer in Europe; it's untouchable.
maybe too much of a good thing. Maybe people would be like, "Oh, this is
I don't
just-
even think
There's
so.
that,
Just used to it.
Or I stand by mothers and fathers not putting their kid in football.
Oh,
And slow,
I had
and
that.
It's,
Yeah.
it is a slow death.
But that's
it is
they're
a
still going to be
long-term
they're
death.
still going to be top players.
Yep.
They're still going to be. They're not going
There'll
to be as
some,
many.
but you're going to have more top athletes
You know what?
go to other sports.
I will
and
say
when they
that's
start
gonna-
playing other, but also when kids are playing other sports, they then want to watch those other sports because they're playing those other sports. So like something like basketball or soccer, whatever other sports those kids start going into, those kids start watching it. And again, this is a very slow transition. This
That might kill
This is something when
football
I'm
lower.
in like a seniors home type thing,
Yeah.
and I'm still watching the Super Bowl. But I'm more in the mind, like it's not as big as it
I think
once
that
was.
might kill like youth football and maybe high school because the
But as-
numbers will drop. I think there's always going to be
Right.
guys playing football
Right,
and
but,
getting to the NFL.
they also had baseball, boxing, horse racing were the top 3 sports in like the 60s in the U.S. by far, and it's gone away. What would happen to me, why I see this, is those kids then that don't play football anymore start watching those other sports, and they don't start watching football. And as they grow, they don't start watching the NFL as much like the people are now. And it's the problem, like we've talked about the Elks, one of the things is they never appealed to the youth generation. 20 years ago, now those kids who are in their 20s and 30s aren't watching the CFL, and that's the fans that you need to get back to. So you got to go back to the kids. If youth football keeps declining, and those kids don't play football at that high level, they're not going to watch football. They're going to watch other sports.
Yeah.
that would be the cause of concern. And there's no it's not a coincidence that the NFL is looking very closely at trying to bring flag football, make it bigger.
Sure, but like until you get guys like Patrick Mahomes could have played baseball. He was
Yes.
a first round pick in baseball.
100%.
He chose football.
Right.
Until you get
Zion Williamson should have been an NFL player, and he wasn't.
those guys, I think until you get guys starting to say, I'm going to go into another sport, I still think their first choice is going to be football because of the money.
Sure.
Short-term money. Like if I was a kid or if I was a parent, I'd be like, go into baseball. It's you're not going to get as nearly as much head trauma. Like, I'm sorry, there's not it's not even close to physicality in baseball that there is in basketball, hockey, and football. It's the safest sport.
Getting 100-mile-an-hour fastballs whiz by your head.
Yeah, but how many times?
I know you're not wrong.
Like, how many times does a guy get hit compared to a car crash every down in football?
You're not wrong at all.
I'm just saying baseball is the safest sport, and basketball probably number 2, although basketball is very physical in the paint as well. Hockey and football are the 2 sports that have to be really careful because they are the 2 sports we're hearing the most about when it comes to head trauma. And obviously, Chris Simon's family coming out and saying it. Not just the concussion movie, but the documentary about that is
Hockey
even
has
better.
to get rid of fighting. And I know a lot of people won't like that.
Hockey
I'm
just
with
has
you.
to hockey has to admit. The hockey just has to start admitting some things like football finally did.
We're going to start getting ripped right away here because I'm with you. I've been on this for years. The one thing I will say that the NHL, what is good for this league, is that actually fighting is at a historic low. It is at its lowest point ever.
But if you get rid of
Because
fighting, then
because
people are going to
kids-
say there's still
but kids
concussions
aren't-
because they're
kids
hitting.
aren't learning how to fight. Kids aren't fighting, and they're not learning to play with fighting. So as these kids keep coming to the league, like naturally fighting will be gone, but they don't have to outlaw it.
Is that
and
but,
it'll just
but-
happen.
But are they slowly doing it by making rules like you cannot take your helmet off?
Yeah,
now?
they're
so then
trying.
these guys are punching
Yeah.
plastic the whole time and missing 2 games.
But
Right?
like
And then you're not going to want to do that again.
But
and so again, I think the NHL has done it right where they haven't pissed off their fan base with like the old white comment type thing by saying we're going to ban fighting and pissing off their fan base because when there's a fight happening in a game, people still stand up.
So
they
what
still
happens
cheer.
when?
But then on the flip side, they've slowly and the lower leagues have put in the rules. They've now put in their different rules, and fighting is going away, and they're not talking about it as much and. It's going to be out of the game, but they didn't have to officially outlaw it.
Golden Bears hockey is still great to watch.
I love it, absolutely.
And there's no fighting.
So what happens when you take, and I'll just play devil's advocate, what happens if you take fighting out, the concussions are still there because body checks cause concussions just as bad. So then the next step, okay, we're going to take more of the physicality. Like it's a slippery slope.
All these goons who are unfortunately dying and suffering from this stuff aren't because they've been body checked.
How many, like, do we need...
That still happens.
Can fighting not... Hockey can still be hockey without fighting. You don't need it.
Absolutely.
Like, he's bringing up the Golden Bears. I will go Olympics, even though it's all skill players, but we watch the Olympics, we want the Olympics, we clamor for the Olympics. We're not going to an Olympic game saying, I hope someone drops their mitts.
Yeah,
we get to the playoffs, and fighting comes even less than in the regular season.
If you could have this...
The sport doesn't need it.
That's a flawed argument because in the Olympics, you have the best players of the best. So? Okay, well,
we don't need it. But
you don't have that much depth on 32 teams,
right?
Man.
But hockey at its best is without hockey. You're saying hockey at its absolute best doesn't need fighting. So why does fighting?
I never said that. He said that.
Well, no, but like, but it's okay. You said hockey's at its best there. So when hockey's at its best, it doesn't need fighting.
If you could have that many, if you could have 23 skilled players like you have on the Olympic team on every NHL roster.
Yeah. Well, we've seen more skill in hockey over the last 15 years.
But you don't have that much depth.
So but
you don't have a Hall of Famer on your fourth line on the Oilers.
You're developing better skill. We're developing more, and that takes a while.
It may
but again, like we get into the playoffs and we don't need the fights. We can get to a Stanley Cup final and not see a single fight happen, and we love the Stanley Cup playoffs still.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a case of not fighting. I think there's still the odd fight, and it's still physical. I just don't see why you need to say we're getting rid of fighting.
Because where else is it?
Why is it okay in hockey? Why aren't they fighting in football? It's physical. Yeah. Why don't they drop the mitts?
I don't care. I think it's a somewhat necessary, not all the time, deterrent. That can change the momentum of a game, and it happens so infrequently now that I don't see the need to ban it.
And that's why I think hockey's done a great job of banning it without banning it.
Yeah, like they've done everything they can without coming out and getting rid of it. So I don't see the need for it.
And if it's on the decline, has it taken away from anybody's love of hockey?
I think it's made the sport better.
I agree.
I'll also say this: I think fighting actually hurts physicality in the game. Because right now you have to fight if you lay a clean hit.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that.
So why do I want to go lay in a clean hit if I have to go fight? But if I don't have to fight, but I could go lay in a clean hit, it's going to bring more physicality back to this game.
Stick work.
And U-Sports, it's
There's
great
ways
hockey.
around it. The Golden Bears do it all the time, and those games get chippy.
There's stick work at that games, and that's not good. I'm telling you, like I've been to a lot of those games. I haven't been to a game this last year, but.
Okay, but those sticks aren't getting in the head.
No, but
concussion level.
When you have no repercussions for your actions,
like every other sport, almost.
I think you take. Well, not every other sport has a stick in their hand.
Well, football though, you could lay body out. Ways
suspend them.
Yeah,
there's ways.
Also, there's a way. Like, there's a thing. If you want to fight, but you're gonna get suspended for 2 games. So if it's really that important for your team that game, take your fight, but you're going to get suspended.
Yeah, I don't see the need to bring in anything like that.
Fighting does not belong in pro sports, where you just get to go
actual pro combat.
Right,
I have
rest
no
for 5
problem
minutes
with fighting in hockey.
and then get back in the game.
I have no problem. I didn't like. Wasn't crazy about Reeves and Rempe squaring off at center. A bit of a displayed fight. But I have no problem with a hard-nosed play resulting in a fight. I don't like when it'd be like if you crushed Tom Brady and then you had to fight after, right? I don't like that. But I do like the fact that tempers flare, guys drop the gloves, and they go. I don't like staged fighting. I would actually probably give another penalty for a staged fight. And that's maybe another way that the NHL
But I don't know how
can
you
get
can
in.
prove that.
Well, how do you prove intent on different things of that the referees have to make a call on?
That's fair.
So you could it's a judgment call saying, hey, these guys, this was a staged fight. Extra. Now, maybe they don't care, right? An extra 10 minutes that the team is losing those guys. Although more and more we're seeing less of the 3-minute a night player and more of the complete player. So I honestly, I don't think you need to do anything to get rid of it. It's going on its own. I mean, Quebec banned it. I don't see very many fights in the game anymore at the junior level. I watch a lot of junior game, so I don't think they need to get rid of it.
Let's get rid of it then, if it's no big
but
deal.
why? If it's
we could do
happening
it at the
so
other levels, then why do we need it?
infrequently.
Then why do we need it?
Because I still think at the top level, even at junior level, it can change the impact of a game. I still think there's a need, not a need for it, but a place for it. I don't think you need to fight, but I have no problem with guys dropping the gloves. I worry that you start taking the physicality out of the game.
But it is. But as I said, I think it's taking it out already.
You're going to bring stick work back in.
But I also think it's taking away clean hits right now because now I have to fight after a clean hit.
Yeah, I don't.
So
think
you might see more
I don't
physicality.
think a guy's lining somebody up for a clean hit, thinking about the fight he's going to have after.
I do. Because how many times do we see a clean hit and then they have to fight? And now I think players go, I don't want to fight, so I'm not going to lay that extra clean hit.
I don't think anybody's saying that.
If this whole conversation started out in the context of head trauma, let's get rid of fighting. Let's let the stick work be handled by penalties, suspensions, fines.
Yeah.
Other leagues
I would rather
find ways not to have
let
fighting.
them police with their fists because it doesn't happen as often as it used to, and I would be really worried about the cheap shots and the stick work from players. So
Here's the question.
And the fact that, like I said, what is there even an average of one fight per game? Probably not.
No.
And the fights aren't the same what they used to be anymore. I mean, if they have to keep their helmets on, why don't they just keep their gloves on? Just do seriously. There's I just know it's such a shadow
Doesn't
of its
look
former
cool.
self. I mean, dropping the gloves is it's
It doesn't
great.
look cool.
But who wants to punch plastic visors and
That's
helmets
and that's why I
ear
say the
holes
NHL has put in their rules to try to ban hockey
think
without
you're right.
actually having to ban
Without-
hockey,
without getting
so
any
that they don't
blowback.
have people
That's right.
having the blowback.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. And I think they've done a great job actually of kind of doing that without
Like,
doing
they-
it.
shadow
what
ban
do you
up.
expect from the NHL?
That's the great
They
word
won't
for it.
admit there's a connection between.
Because you can't.
The
You
NFL
can't.
has.
They haven't fully admitted in that way.
They've done more than the NHL.
But they've also settled the concussion lawsuit.
Yeah.
So they've actually admitted, had guilt,
Exactly.
and paid.
That's
the
right.
NHL doesn't want to pay.
Well, they're gonna have it's just the stupidest
Yeah.
thing ever. It's the worst look ever for this league.
Sure. But the moment you
makes
admit it,
them
you have to pay.
Yeah, well, they're gonna have to pay at some point,
But
man.
they haven't had to yet.
I know, but they're so stupid. This is the worst. Like, there's been a lot of bad looks with the NHL. This is the worst. Like, Alan Eagleson stealing money from the players looks better than the NHL not admitting this.
Well, this is a league that can't even decide whether special jerseys are allowed or not allowed.
There's no business out there that would willingly just admit fault and then have to face the repercussions of hundreds of millions of dollars being paid out.
They're going to have to anyway.
But until that's proven, you're not going to willingly do that. You're going to wait until you're forced to through courts.
Yeah,
And
why would you
don't
want?
admit that
Why would you
prior.
want to provide some goodwill, and you're going to have to pay it anyway?
'Cause you might
Common
not have
sense.
to.
Everybody knows this. It's the dumbest. Like, you know, it's the dumbest thing ever to sit there and deny something that everybody knows has happened and is happening. It's the dumbest thing ever. It makes them
When there's
look.
hundreds of millions of dollars on the line, I get it.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say. I get why they're not going to say it until they have to.
Yeah.
Until they have to. That's it for the EST Hangout presented by White Claw Hard Seltzer. Tom Gazzola, Millard, Gerry Moddejonge, Iwanyk. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming in. Another fun 2 hours here. Coming up next, Lock Shop, Dusty and Huss. They've got the next EST FlyAway keyword. You're back with Dusty
Yes,
at noon
sir.
for the oil stream, and then pregame show tonight, 5:30.
Yeah.
YouTube travel get set for the Oilers taking on the Blues. I think the earliest the Oilers can clinch a playoff spot is tomorrow. I think it's tomorrow.
So they have to win, and then
I think they have to win in regulation, and then if the Wild lose tomorrow, I think it's done. I think that's how it fully goes. But they could basically put themselves right there in that spot. I think if they win today in regulation, they're just at the tiebreaker spot almost or something. So it's right there. But that's all coming up here on Edmonton Sports Talk. On iHeartRadio, tune in, EdmontonSportsTalk.com, as well as our YouTube channel. Like I said, Lock Shop. Coming up in just a few minutes. Thanks for tuning in to the EST Hangout today. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Let's go. There you go, right in front of the camera.
First-time guest, long-time listener, fan of the original draft commissioner.
Welcome to the EST Hangout presented by White Claw Hard Seltzer. The difference is clear. Matt Iwanyk, Tom Gazzola with here. Joining us today